Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Urban Pirate World. I become Kaido at the beginning. Chapter 41. After sending the black-clothed man away, Hiwei glanced at the sky in the distance, slightly absent-minded, and after a long time, he suddenly exuded strong confidence. The courage to fight 1 against 100 is better than the strength to fight 1 against 100. Zhang Chen, if it were a few days ago, I would probably still regard you as a mountain that I could never cross in my life. Hiwei clenched his fist, rubbed the ring on his finger that shone with a simple light, and smiled. Times have changed, Zhang Chen. Looking at the ring in his hand, Hiwei spoke respectfully. Ancestor, what do you think? Suddenly, the ring shone brightly, and an illusory figure emerged. Time went back to 2 days ago. After being defeated by Zhang Chen, Hiwei got the 7-injury fist manual handed over by his grandfather, and immediately began to practice without sleep and food. In front of a hard boulder in the back mountain, regardless of the blood oozing from his arm, he punched on the boulder one punch after another. Boxing techniques can be fierce, feminine, or both hard and soft, or both hard and soft. The 5 elements regulate yin and yang, hurt the heart and lungs, and destroy the liver and intestines. The essence of the hidden is lost in trance, the 3 burners are reversed and the soul flies. Accompanied by a series of formulas, Hiwei endured the discomfort and punched the boulder with all his strength, and was immediately hit by a series of pits. The blood on the fist was stained in the ring on Hiwei's hand. He, you young boy. Do you want to die young with such a desperate training method like you? Just when Hiwei was concentrating on boxing, an old and strange laugh came into Hiwei's ears. Hiwei's face changed, and he quickly turned around and scanned the surroundings. His eyes were full of doubts, but he didn't find any figure. Don't look for me, I'm on your finger. Just when Hiwei was secretly on guard, someone could silently pass through the family's defense and come to his side. Just as he was being cautious, the voice sounded again. Hiwei's pupils suddenly shrank, and he raised his hand to look at his left hand. There was only an ancestral ring on his hand that was emitting a dim light. The ring can talk. Resisting the thought of chopping off his hand and throwing it away with the ring, Hiwei spoke tentatively. What are you talking about? I'm just hiding in the ring. An exasperated voice came from the ring. Immediately, an illusory figure appeared on the ring. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you going to do? Resisting the discomfort, Hiwei asked 3 soul questions. Interesting junior boy, who am I? To be precise, I am your ancestor. I have been in this ring all the time. Thanks to your blood, I was able to revive. Ancestor. Blood. Hiwei was a little confused and suspected that he was cursing. It's a long story. The ring on your hand is made of a very rare mineral soul crystal stone. It is a treasure that can store memory and even consciousness. Hiwei's eyes were thoughtful. He had heard that soul crystal stones were used by many major forces, colleges and even officials to store knowledge. Many advanced martial arts techniques are obscure and complex. They can only be understood but not expressed in words. It is difficult to keep them on paper. Some senior masters transfer their martial arts insights to soul crystal stones to record martial arts secrets. Even the secrets that are not passed on will use soul crystal stones. But this is the first time I heard that soul crystal stones can store the consciousness of living people. Hiwei's heart suddenly jumped. The weirdness of this matter exceeded his imagination. Kid, what do you know? The world is so big that nothing is impossible. When your ancestor was dying, he was helped by a peerless strongman who possessed the soul fruit. By chance, his soul was attached to the ring made of soul crystal stone. The power of that strongman's fruit has reached the state of awakening. Even after so many years, my consciousness has been preserved forever in the soul crystal. I didn't wake up until recently. Although I can't speak, I know everything about your experience. It was not until your blood dripped on the ring just now that my direct bloodline completely revived me. Remember the younger generation of the He family, my name is He Chen. He Chen, Grandpa, my great-grandfather of the He family. My He family's ancestor from 100 years ago. Hiwei was shocked. Grandfather, please accept my respects. Hiwei, who knew the whole story, couldn't help but change his attitude in front of his own ancestor. He respectfully placed the ring on the stone and kowtowed. The old man admired his polite young man very much and stroked his beard. No need to do that. Now I am just lingering on, with only a consciousness left in the ring. Okay, let's get back to the point. I like you very much, kid. Do you want to become stronger? He Wei's heart skipped a beat when he heard this and he took a deep breath. It's up to the ancestor to decide. I dare not ask for anything. Okay, after my observation for some time, you have blood. He has the courage to fight against the monster named Zhang Chen. He is more unfathomable than you think. I have never seen such a monstrous genius in my life. His talent is probably only comparable to those legends in history. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is a living legend in terms of talent. With your hard work now, even if you learn the 7-injury fist, you may not even be qualified to exchange your life with him. He Wei's face turned pale when he heard this. Being denied by the ancestor, even the strongest boy couldn't help but feel sad at this moment. Hey, don't be discouraged, young man. Are you scared? Who said that the weak can't defeat the strong? A grain of sand can fill the river and the sea, and a blade of grass can cut the stars. Quote. He Wei smiled bitterly, then looked at the old man with a firm face. I'm not afraid, but I also know my own weight. The road of martial arts is like climbing a mountain, one step at a time. I don't care how strong Zhang Chen or other monsters are. I just want to walk my own way, and every step counts. Looking at the oath from the young man's heart, He Chen couldn't help but lose his mind slightly. He was impressed by his momentum and couldn't help but be convinced. The old man was shocked. Is it Overlord color? He restrained his mind and felt that the future of this young man would sooner or later embark on a supreme road. The intention of giving a few profound secret books to take care of the younger generation also faded. It is said that the real peerless genius must have a firm heart and unparalleled luck. Today, I have seen it. Young man, maybe my awakening is also your destined opportunity. Quote. He Chen looked at the young man in front of him and decided to take a gamble. If he won, he would be the hero of the dragon. Young man, have you ever heard of the 9-yang magic skill? The 9-yang magic skill. The legendary martial arts that has long been lost. He Wei was shocked. It is said that after practicing the 9-yang magic skill, the speed of internal force is extremely fast, and ordinary punches and kicks can also exert great power. Defense and rebound external force attacks, the defense is almost unmatched. The speed of the practitioner will be greatly increased, and it is also a healing scripture, free from all diseases and poisons. Yes, young man, compared to its own ability, what is more amazing is that learning it will allow you to comprehend the armed color domineering earlier and faster. He Chen looked at He Wei with satisfaction. He Wei looked like he had never seen the world. Only if you master the domineering power, you are worthy of competing with the real genius. He Wei could not hide his excitement, and bowed to He Chen, thank you for the merit. Quote. Boy, don't get excited. The 9-yang divine art only qualifies you to face a genius like Zhang Chen. Why, are you satisfied with just one 9-yang magic skill? He Chen blew his beard and stared at He Wei jokingly. Grandmaster, I am already grateful for giving me such a magic skill. Besides, I know that I can't chew too much. The name of 9-yang is famous all over the world, which is absolutely beyond the reach of ordinary martial arts. It is as famous as 9-yin in the world. How dare I have any extravagant demands? He Wei said solemnly. That's right. After practicing 9-yang magic skill, the internal force will be self-generated. When practicing boxing, you will be a master of external force. When using sword, you will directly enter the realm of swordsman. The internal force is self-generated very quickly, and you are not afraid of group attacks. Practice to a high level, the internal force of the whole body will form a circle, and the automatic body protection function will rebound external force attacks. The defense is almost invincible, which can be called the indestructible body of Vajra. In a sense, it is no less than the armed color domineering. It is also a healing scripture, which stimulates the body's recovery ability, the inner force of extreme yang, immune to all poisons. Even if you are seriously injured, you can still keep your life safe. This healing scripture is no less than another magical skill, the Shenjiaojing. Quote. Boy, don't practice the 7-injury fist, learn the 9-yang magic skill first. By the way, don't call me ancestor in the future. Dust to dust, earth to earth, just call me Chen Lao in the future. After saying that, the old man pointed his finger at He Wei's brow and passed on all the insights of the 9-yang magic skill to him. The scene returned to the present moment. After hearing He Wei's voice, the old man emerged from the ring. Incredible, incredible, the little monster named Zhang Chen in the unknowable realm has actually achieved the invincible combat power in the same realm in a true sense. Looking at the confident He Wei, the old man shook his head. Boy, I have to say that if you really want to set him as a goal, your road will be very difficult. Quote. The top fruit, from the performance point of view, the development level in just a few days is almost shocking. The same boy who obtained the animal fruit is still turning into a beast and howling, and the one who obtained the superhuman fruit is still slowly familiarizing himself with the skills. Even the natural fruit dare not squander his ability so much, and is saving energy by eating frugally. And Zhang Chen has already begun to control natural disasters and transformed into a dragon to fly in the sky. The well-known acrobatic master Doflamingo once said that there is no difference between strong and weak fruits, and the key factors that determine victory or defeat depend on the operation and development of the ability user himself. But this sentence cannot be fully believed. Just like the sky-high bride price of millions, the woman only wants an attitude, although he does not mention money in every sentence, but he is always talking about money. The same is true for the grades of devil fruits. There is no difference between strong and weak, only applicable compared with most. There are still a small number of devil fruits that are more special and are several levels higher than other fruits since their birth. Obviously, the fish fruit fantasy beast species Qinglong form is one of them. Strong physique, crushing the physical fitness of the same level. Advanced physical skills, all 6 army styles. Even has domineering. How many people can't get the power in their lifetime? It was easily obtained in the hands of the young Zhang Chen. Fruits, physique, physical skills and even domineering are the top of the same level. There is almost no weakness. How can you beat such an opponent? Under the setting sun, the mottled sunlight shines on the lush ancient trees, and the light and shadow pass through the gaps and spread on He Wei's face, but it blooms with charming brilliance. That's great. The strong dare to challenge the stronger, and then they are strong. Isn't it, Chen Lao? He, you have courage. In this case, I will accompany you to gamble. I still have a magical skill in my hand. It can be said that it is for this magical skill that I died and was hunted down to this end. And the murderer is still at large. After saying this, He Chen sighed, as if he was reminiscing about the past. He Wei was shocked that the murderer who killed Chen Lao was still alive. Then he bowed, but please tell me the name of your enemy. When I learn something in the future, I will definitely do justice for you. Quote. He, kid, you have a good intention, but that enemy is too far away and too powerful for you. He also snatched some fragments of the magic skill I mentioned. If you learn it, you will inevitably be noticed by him when you travel around the world in the future, and there may be a disaster of killing. Do you dare to learn it? Even if he doesn't notice it, this skill is extremely evil. Although the martial arts theory is authentic, it may be regarded as evil by the world. Are you willing to learn it? He Chen looked directly into the eyes of the young man with a strong scrutiny. It was the first time that He Wei saw Chen Lao looking at him so seriously. His heart skipped a beat and he seemed to feel something in his heart. It was as if he was standing at a crossroads that determined his fate. Chen Lao, there is no right or wrong in power. The holder is righteous if his heart is righteous, and evil if his heart is evil. I am willing to learn and dare to learn. He Wei leaned over and bowed to the old man, holding the disciple's etiquette. He Chen laughed and nodded with satisfaction. Although we have a blood relationship, it has long been very thin, so it is not wrong to call each other master and disciple. Quote. Zhuangzi's, Xiaoyaoyu, says, there is a dark sea in the north of the end of the world, which is the Tianqi. There are fish there, and it is thousands of miles wide, and no one knows how long it is. Moreover, if the water is not deep, it will not be able to carry a large boat. If you pour a cup of water on a depression, the mustard will become a boat. If you put a cup there, it will become sticky. The water is shallow and the boat is large. The magic skill I have obtained is called Biming. This skill is dedicated to absorbing the internal strength, qi and blood of people and monsters, and transforming the power of all things for its own use, just like hundreds of rivers converging into the sea, and the water of the sea is obtained by accommodating hundreds of rivers, and the ocean is vast and huge. Taking people's internal strength, then taking apart, storing apart, without leaking endlessly, the more it accumulates, the thicker it becomes, just like the huge pool of Beiming Tianqi, which can float a kun thousands of miles away. Quote. He Wei was dumbfounded. There is such a skill in the world that absorbs people's qi, blood and internal energy. This is too evil. He. The way of heaven is to reduce the surplus and make up for the deficiency, the way of man is to reduce the deficiency and increase the surplus. Although the Beiming divine art is evil, it is the authentic Taoism. Absorb the power of all things and use it for yourself to strengthen your own physical strength. During the battle, absorb the scattered energy to restore your own physical strength, cooperate with the Nine Yang divine art, and when facing the enemy will be weaker and you will be stronger. Not afraid of group attacks at all. It can almost be said to be invincible in close combat by consuming people's internal energy without any damage. The only weakness can't be called a weakness, it can only be said to be a shortcoming. Although the Beiming divine art is invincible in close combat, if the enemy's internal energy is super strong, or if he uses a split palm or a sword energy slash air attack martial arts such as finger in the air, break through your own defense, then it is estimated that you may die of wounds all over your body without the need for Beiming magic to dissolve and absorb it. In any case, once these two magics are mastered, the achievement of the unknowable realm that Zhongchen can achieve may not be impossible for you to achieve. Nine Yang magic art and Beiming magic art are the ultimate principles of martial arts in the world. If you master one of the two, all martial arts in the world can be used. In the future, you will definitely make rapid progress in physical training. I am afraid that few people in the world can match you in physical training. And Beiming magic art, which absorbs blood and strengthens the body, can help you break through the realm barrier and break the shackles of human potential. The same realm of physical body will go one step further. In the future, if you concentrate on practicing, you may be able to get a glimpse of the sainthood. Quote. Carrying a fiery and stubborn heart, I walked towards the most tolerant execution ground. The echoes of being broken and shattered were all empty. Zhongchen had black hair scattered on his shoulders, and a purple fur cape on his back. He leaned on a black leather sofa, holding a magazine in his hand, flipping through it boredly, and humming his favorite song in his previous life. Ji Yu Qingying stood behind him, wearing a white shirt, a black hip skirt, black stockings on her straight long legs, holding a document in her arms, dressed like a secretary, and her curvy figure was clearly revealed. Cheng Dongqing stood on the other side, holding a mobile phone and laughing, and I don't know what he was reading. Zhongchen threw the magazine on the coffee table, his expression became indignant. Cheng Dongqing immediately put away the phone and coughed to clear his throat, and his face began to become serious. Dongqing, this He Wei owes me weapons but still hasn't given them to me yet. You can have someone put up a banner and hang it at the door of the He family every day. It's a sign that says you're not trustworthy and don't pay back your debts. It's disgusting to them. Cheng Dongqing smiled awkwardly and scratched his head. He, brother, the mace was actually delivered by the He family the day after you defeated He Wei. You were not there at the time, and the brothers thought it was too heavy, so they threw it in the warehouse. Zhongchen's face was full of black lines. Didn't I ask you to follow up on this matter? Really, go get it quickly. It's not easy to fight without a weapon. Okay, I'll get it right away. Cheng Dongqing ran away after hearing this. Looking at Cheng Dongqing's back, Zhongchen shook his head with a headache. Ji Yu Qingying behind him couldn't help but sneer. Hearing the laughter behind him, Zhongchen's tone became gentle. By the way, Qingying, how is the statistics of the funds seized from the last time we took down the Lionheart Society? If the amount is too much, it's okay, take your time. If Cheng Dongqing were here, he would have pointed at Zhongchen's nose and scolded him for being double standard. What does it mean that he yelled at me so loudly, but spoke softly to girls? Everything has been sorted out, President. The working capital of the Lionheart Society, plus the funds we blackmailed from the school's finance department, the finance department actively cooperated to increase the budget as soon as they heard that it was you. The total funds are about 10 million Baileys. Oh, by the way, Liu Yangxin, the former vice president of the Lionheart Society, gave us another 2 million Baileys as an apology, totaling more than 12 million Baileys. Now the allocation of funds is waiting for your instructions. This Liu Yangxin is a bit interesting, and he is quite sensible. Well, you did a great job, Qingying. 5 million of this will be directly allocated to me. You and Dongqing will each get 1 million Baileys, and the remaining 5 million, just distribute it to the brothers under your command. Well, give it a larger proportion to the poor students in the club. Zhang Chen is always very tolerant and generous to his subordinates. The world is full of dangers nowadays, and it is not a bad idea to help the subordinates in need if he has the spare energy. Hearing this, Ji Yu Qingying covered her mouth and smiled softly. Our president looks greedy, but he is actually very loving. Tisk, it's just a windfall anyway, it doesn't matter, I don't feel bad. Facing Ji Yu Qingying's joke, Zhang Chen curled his lips. Not long after, Chang Dongqing hurriedly walked in with a long wooden box in his hands. Oh, brother, this thing is really heavy. No, who would use a mace as a weapon? It's so cool to use a sword, only the bandit leaders in ancient times. As if he thought of something, Chang Dongqing immediately shut up and looked at Zhang Chen cautiously. Sure enough, Zhang Chen's face darkened. Hee, brother, I'm not saying that you are not a bandit. No, I'm saying that the one who uses a mace is a bandit. Ah, brother, listen to my explanation. Chang Dongqing became more and more panicked as he spoke, and his face turned red. Shut up, stay aside, hey, okay. After saying that, Chang Dongqing was still frightened and moved aside carefully. Without paying attention to him, Zhang Chen opened the wooden box and saw a stick-shaped weapon lying quietly in the box. It was about 1.5 meters long, made of meteorite iron, exuding a dark metallic luster, wide in front and narrow in the back, and the head was like a heavy date, with protruding sharp iron spikes all over it. The handle is slender, with a round iron ring on the top. It is said to weigh about 500 kilograms. Looking at the weapon in front of him, Zhang Chen was very satisfied. He stretched out his hand and lifted it up with one arm. The muscles were faintly blue. Yes, that's the feeling. This is what I want, the power to destroy everything, to break all laws with force. Hiss, watching Zhang Chen pick up the mace, his momentum suddenly changed, extremely terrifying. Chang Dongqing immediately shrank his neck and quietly hid behind Ji Yu Qingying. Just kidding, if the big brother is not stable and doesn't like me, this 2-meter-long giant will fall down, and I will burp on the spot. Ha ha ha, good weapon, I'll call you 8 fasts. Zhang Chen's tone was excited, and he stroked touch the mace in your hand, and let the world feel the terrifying power of the mace again. Congratulations, brother, you have obtained a unique weapon. You are invincible in the world. Chang Dongqing immediately flattered him when he saw this. Zhang Chen laughed, I got this thing, it's like God's help. Xiao Cheng, let's practice some other day, I'll let you try the power of my mace. Chang Dongqing's face turned pale. No, brother, it's so beautiful. After the joke, Zhang Chen's smile gradually faded. Seeing that Zhang Chen's face was not right, Chang Dongqing asked worriedly, brother, do you have any troubles? Don't worry, just tell me, I promise to do it properly. Zhang Chen did not reply, frowned, as if he was in deep thought. Ji Yu Qingying seemed to have thought of something. President, is it because of the Hao family? The battle between Zhang Chen and Bai Qingshu at the Combat Power Appraisal Center has long been a hot topic, and the causes and consequences have long been thoroughly dug up by the powerful netizens. That's right, Zhang Chen sighed. Now that I injured that rubbish Haosei, but didn't kill him, it's very difficult for me now. There is an enemy in the dark that disgusts you every day. It's hard for anyone not to worry. President, the Hao family is powerful and has a deep foundation in Qingcheng. You should think twice before confronting them. Ji Yu Qingying looked worried. Oh my, what are you afraid of? Brother, tell me where Haosei is, and I promise to find a place where no one is and tie him up and throw him into the river. Chang Dongqing immediately shouted that he would sacrifice his life for the president. Okay, I know what to do about this. Zhang Chen fell into deep thought. Seeing this, Ji Yu Qingying and Chang Dongqing did not dare to disturb him and stayed aside. Now the Hao family and I will not give up, especially Haosei, who will definitely play some tricks and may implicate my family. Zhang Chen clenched the mace in his hand. It seems that I must find a way to get rid of this person as soon as possible. Zhang Chen thought secretly. Qingying, you go find a way, mobilize people at all costs, and sort out all the information of the Hao family for me. Dongqing, mobilize your men, find opportunities to monitor Hao Sei's whereabouts anytime and anywhere, and find a few smart people to protect the safety of my family at any time. Got it. The two answered at the same time, with serious expressions. Exhaling a breath, looking at the only office left, Zhang Chen held the 8 rings in both hands and kept fiddling with it. Tisk, how can such a big weapon be taken out for battle? I can't be like Hawkeye in the comics and carry it with me every day. Katakuri's Earth Dragon Thorn can take out weapons from his body and put weapons into his body when fighting Luffy. I wonder if I can do it. Speaking of which, Kaido doesn't usually hold a stick. When fighting, he suddenly appears with the 8 rings in his hand. When he transforms into a blue dragon, the stick disappears again. When he returns to human form, the stick appears again. What is the principle behind this? Zhang Chen scratched his head and fell into deep thought. Dragons can be big or small, can rise or hide. When they are big, they can create clouds and mist, and when they are small, they can hide their shapes. When they rise, they fly in the universe, and when they hide, they lurk in the waves. Can I also hide the 8 rings in my body? The more Zhang Chen thought about it, the more excited he became, but where should he put it? Activate the fruit ability to transform into a dragon man form. Lifting the top of the mace and opening his mouth wide, Zhang Chen tried to stuff the mace into his mouth like poking nucleic acid. It really worked. Under the transmission of the fruit's power, the mace had undergone unknown changes. It emitted a faint light, and there seemed to be a sense of induction in the dark. A mark was formed between himself and the 8 fasts, and they were connected in mind. Intuition told Zhang Chen that he might not be able to shrink other weapons before this stick was destroyed. This is the bond between the Azure Dragon Fruit and the 8 fasts. The dark iron rod is shrinking. Ah, vomit. Zhang Chen felt a little nauseous after being poked by the mace. No, it's so shameful. From now on, when the battle is in full swing, I will say, not bad, kid, you are enough for me to fight. After saying that, he opened his mouth and vomited a big stick with a vomit. This scene is so eye-catching. Zhang Chen looked at the mace in his hand that had become the size of a toothpick. There were only a few holes on his body, where could I put it? Nose. What? Zhang Chen was lost in thought, and his face looked strange. Suddenly he slapped his thigh. Yes, learn from Sun Wukong and put it in your ear. He did it as he said it. Zhang Chen carefully put the toothpick-shaped 8 fasts into his ear and pulled it, bringing out a circle of earwax. Hiss, comfortable. Zhang Chen looked intoxicated. He had a lot of fun pulling out the iron rod and shrinking it back in again and again. Zhang Chen patted his head, and the huge weapon disappeared. He realized that there was nothing wrong with his body, and nodded with satisfaction. The sun set in the west, and the afterglow of the sunset sprinkled on the street in front of the primary school. The primary school students who jumped out of the school gate scattered like young swallows returning to their nests. Some were picked up by their parents, and some walked in groups of 3 or 2. Xiao Xiao, look, this is the latest issue of Ziyin Huake. I finally got it. How about it? Want to read it? Wow, I want to read it. Xiaoyi, let me see it. Zhang Xiao laughed and hugged the little girl next to her with one hand, and grabbed the comic magazine with the other hand. The other little girl had already seen through the evil plan, and smiled and raised the magazine, turned around and jumped to the side. At the entrance of the canteen next to the school, 2 little girls with school bags were chasing and playing. Hey, Xiaoyi, how about I treat you to snacks? Give me, Ziyin Huake. I'll tell you a secret, my brother gave me a lot of money, popsicles, spicy strips, and potato chips are all yours. Zhang Xiao, who was tired of chasing, turned his eyes cunningly and suggested. Wow, really? Then you will become a little rich woman. I will present you with a precious book. Not far away, in a dim corner alley, 2 gangsters with yellow hair and tattoos on their arms looked at each other with a wicked smile on their lips. One of them took out a notebook and wrote and drew on it. The other saw the 2 girls walking farther and farther away, and then put out the cigarette in his hand. Don't write any more, let's go, follow me. Hearing this, the other put away the notebook, and the 2 of them followed Zhang Xiao from a distance until she returned home. After a long time, the 2 returned to the alley before. Tisk, Brother Lu didn't come again. I'm so annoyed waiting to report to him every day. Say less, who asked him to control us, be careful he heard it. One of them comforted a few words, and the other cursed, and the two squatted on the ground and smoked. Can you tell me what you want to report? A deep voice sounded from behind the two. Who? The two startled, one turned around and took out a dagger and pointed it at the back, but looked around but could not see any figure. Looking down, they saw a tall black shadow behind them. Don't be too excited, don't worry, I have no big malice, just show me the little notebook in your arms, and answer a few questions for me. The black shadow has not finished speaking. The two looked at each other, and turned around and stabbed behind them at the same time as if they had tacit understanding. Die for me. But there was a stumble, and it was empty again. No, it's a tricky idea, retreat. The two gangsters, faces changed, knowing that the newcomer might be very powerful, and they immediately fled in two opposite directions, already running away dozens of meters away. But the black shadow appeared in front of the two people in an instant, and kicked them back to the original place with 1 foot. The black shadow was very fast. The distance of 100 meters back and forth is just a few feet away. Who are you? Quote. The two men fell to the ground in pain, holding their chests, feeling that their bones were broken by the kicks. If they hadn't had some basic skills, they would have been kicked to death long ago. The man in front of him was wrapped tightly in a black suit, his face was covered by a black hood, and his tall and strong figure could be vaguely seen. Third time is enough, my patience is very limited. The low voice sounded again. The two gangsters looked at each other, and one of them took out a small notebook and threw it to the man in black. The man in black took it and flipped through it directly. While the man in black was distracted, the two men showed their ferocity again. What's so great about being strong? It's not like I haven't killed anyone before. Quote. One on the left and one on the right, the two men rushed over again with knives. Seeing the black-clothed man motionless, the two men were delighted. Ha ha. This idiot who thinks he is so strong. A lion will use all its strength to fight a rabbit. Do you understand? Remember this for the rest of your life. In the nick of time, the black-clothed man calmly turned around and coincidentally passed by this deadly killing intent. I think I said that 3 times as the limit. The black-clothed man put the small notebook in his pocket, and when the two people were separated, he grabbed their heads with both hands, and slammed their heads together with his palms. Just listen, bang. With a sound, it was like the heads of the two people burst like watermelons, and the bright red scattered all over the ground. The two headless corpses knelt on the ground, no longer alive. Look, listen to people's advice and eat a full meal. Quote. The man in black finished speaking slowly, lifted his hood, and Zhang Chen's face appeared. A few days ago, when Zhang Chen sent people to protect his family, someone reported that another group of people were also monitoring Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Chen came here today just to see who dared to pay attention to his family. With a breath of fire from Zhang Chen, the two bodies on the ground were instantly burned to ashes. Zhang Chen, who put on his hood again, left the alley in black clothes. The calm alley seemed to have been so peaceful all the time, only the ashes on the ground were still silently telling the bloody story before. Half an hour later, the wall of the alley suddenly showed a transparent round outline, and a thin man fell out from it. The man looked at the two piles of ashes on the ground and wiped his sweaty forehead with his hands. He was the leader of the two men and had come here long ago to wait for them to meet. As a superhuman door fruit ability user, he originally wanted to tease the two men and pretend to be cool to maintain his status. Unexpectedly, before he appeared, his two men were killed by the black-clothed man. If Zhang Chen hadn't taken off his hood at the end, he wouldn't know who he had offended. I met the real boss, and it was Qinglong Zhang Chen who appeared in person. I knew that this job was not an easy job. Lu Hua was hiding in the space of the menmen fruit, and he didn't dare to come out. Half an hour after Zhang Chen left, his physical strength was almost exhausted, and he could no longer maintain the power of the fruit, and fell out of the space. It's terrible, I almost lost my life. I won't take this kind of job next time. Lu Hua patted his chest, trying to stabilize his pounding heartbeat. Oh, I took it, who did I take it from? A sinister voice sounded from behind Lu Hua, and Lu Hua's face turned pale and his whole body stiffened. He didn't dare to look back at all. Brother, don't kill me, I confess everything. Zhang Chen felt unsafe when he killed the two men, and thought there should be accomplices. To be safe, he pretended to leave after destroying the bodies, and went around to gather his breath and returned to this place to lurk. My goodness, I waited for half an hour and my legs were sore. Finally caught another fish. You're quite good at hiding. Zhang Chen grabbed the man's collar and dragged him in front of him. Brother, you're joking. It's not presentable to make a living by making money in the underworld. It's not presentable. The man laughed and said in a humble tone. Tell me, make a small notebook to record what this little girl wants to do. I don't know. I just follow orders and do whatever the boss tells me to do. I'm a small leader of the Liuhe gang nearby. I usually collect protection fees and so on. Recently, I was ordered by the boss to monitor the little girl. Yes, it's all the boss's orders and it has nothing to do with me. Lu Hua burst into tears. I have children and parents. My whole family is counting on me. Please be merciful, I promise I won't dare to do it again next time. Pa! With a crisp sound, Zhang Chen slapped Lu Hua in the face, and several teeth flew out. Lu Hua's mouth and nose were bleeding. What are you doing? You are pretending to be pitiful in front of me, what are you doing? Zhang Chen showed his face, and his fierce face was exposed. Do you know me? Lu Hua was hit by the big bidu and his head was dizzy. Yes, I know you. You are Qinglong Zhang Chen, the strongest genius in Qingcheng. Everyone in Qingcheng knows you. You are the destined overlord in the future. What about this girl? Zhang Chen took out a small notebook and pointed to the photo on it, showing it to Lu Hua. In the photo, Zhang Xiaoxiao made a V sign with both hands and a sunny smile. Lu Hua swallowed his saliva. This little girl is called Zhang Xiaoxiao, just an ordinary elementary school student, and her last name is also Zhang. Could she be your relative? Sir, I really don't know this. If I knew she was your relative, I wouldn't dare to send someone to monitor her even if I had 10 guts. Lu Hua tried his best to deny that he knew the relationship between Zhang Xiaoxiao and Zhang Chen. He knew that intentional and unintentional were two different crimes. Now, even if he was beaten to death, he would never dare to admit it. The former is a 100% chance of death. The latter is also a 100% chance of death, but at least there is a glimmer of hope. Zhang Chen stared at Lu Hua's face, sweating profusely, and was too lazy to expose him. So far, Lu Hua is still useful. Just assume you don't know. Come on, take me to see your Liuhe gang leader. Alive, alive. Lu Hua was secretly happy. Yes, yes, Mr. Zhang, I will take you to the headquarters of the Liuhe gang now. Walking through the bustling streets, fights can be seen everywhere, and venomous eyes flash from time to time in the dark corners. In this era, the more turbulent, the more darkness breeds. Following Lu Hua's lead, Zhang Chen stood in front of a brightly lit bar, with explosive music coming from time to time, and the words Liuhe Bar were written on the billboard. After entering, colorful lights flashed and dynamic music resounded throughout the venue. The DJ in the front row was playing the beats like crazy, and countless handsome men and beautiful women were having fun here, her youth. The cool-dressed girl danced and attracted the crowd. The bartender at the front desk swung the cup back and forth, constantly showing off his bartending skills, and occasionally put an ice cube in the glass, so that half of the glass was ice. Young Master Zhang, the headquarters of our Liuhe gang is here. The bar outside is just a cover. If you are interested, all the consumption in the bar in the future will be free. Lu Hua nodded and led Zhang Chen into the bar. The bartenders and waiters nearby all called Lu Hua, Brother Lu, when they saw him. Seeing Zhang Chen being treated seriously by Lu Hua, he couldn't help but wonder who this big shot was. He was covered tightly in black clothes. Was he cosplaying? What a strange hobby. As Zhang Chen and Lu Hua walked into the elevator, they came to the basement. After entering, there was a different world, and the noise came one after another. It turned out that this place was the headquarters of the Liuhe gang. On the left table, 4 men in vests were smoking and playing cards. On the right, someone was practicing boxing on a sandbag on the ring. A dying man with a bruised face and nose was tied to the sandbag. In the middle, a bald man who looked like a big brother was sitting on the sofa with his upper body naked and a purple fluffy cape on his shoulders, holding a cigar in his mouth. On each side, there was a hot and cool beauty. I don't know if she smoked too much strange things, but she threw herself into the man's arms with a dazed look. Zhang Chen used a high-dimensional perspective to scan the crowd. They were all in the Black Iron realm. Only the man in the middle was a little special. The panel showed that he had learned the ancient martial arts Liuhe boxing. Those two girls were not even at the Black Iron level. It seemed that they were all just chickens and dogs. Lu Hua walked to the middle and looked at the two scantily clad beauties and swallowed his saliva. Oh, boss, I have a sore back from monitoring the prison today. I have to relieve my heat tonight, hee. Don't talk about these nonsense. How did you do what I asked you to do? Shu Luo exhaled a breath while smoking a cigar and sprayed it directly on Lu Hua's face. He pinched the thigh of the beautiful woman next to him, which immediately caused her to laugh. Hee, big brother, the completion rate is almost 200%. Not only did I get the information of the little girl, I even tied up her brother. Look. He walked around and pointed at Zhang Chen, who was exposed behind him. You are the boss of Liuhe gang. What identity and what level do you have to dare to wear the same cloak as me? Lu Hua stepped aside, and Zhang Chen behind him took off his hood, revealing a cold face, staring straight at Shu Luo, the leader of the Liuhe gang, with murderous intent in his eyes. Shu Luo was shocked, and the cigar in his hand fell to the ground with a snap. Lu Hua, how dare you betray me, you fool! Brothers, kill them! While Shu Luo ordered his men, he did a 365-degree backflip on the sofa and hid behind the sofa. With a flick of his cloak, countless steel needles as thin as cow hair shot towards Zhang Chen and the others like a storm. Hee, I'm sorry, leader. As the saying goes, water flows to low places, and people go to high places. Now that you have offended young Master Zhang, I can't be buried with you. Lu Hua opened a door in the air and hid in the space, avoiding the flying steel needles. Zhang Chen did not dodge, and the rushing steel needles hit his body and made a crisp sound. The flying needles pierced the benches and chairs around like a hornet's nest, but they had no effect on Zhang Chen. Seeing that his attack was ineffective, Shu Luo kicked the sofa away and smashed it towards Zhang Chen like a parabola. Ah! The two women sitting on the sofa had no time to react and were thrown out by the huge inertia, and their lives were unknown. The huge solid wood sofa enveloped Zhang Chen like a mountain. Looking up and squinting, Zhang Chen used his hand instead of a knife, and the sofa was instantly split in two. A dull sound of hitting the ground exploded on both sides. Wood chips flew. The men nearby heard the sound and put down their work one after another. Ah! Fight! A man showed off his butterfly knife, flashing a piece of knife shadow and rushed straight towards Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen passed by sideways, grabbed the man's wrist and used the force in the opposite direction. Under the powerful force, the butterfly knife held by the man stabbed uncontrollably into his heart. No. Don't. The heart was pierced, and blood gushed out of the corner of the man's mouth while he spoke. He covered his chest tightly as if this would reduce the loss of life. His body kept retreating and finally fell into the corner. Another man had knuckles in his fists, and his punches were swift and fierce, bringing gusts of wind. Zhang Chen turned his body, holding the black mace in his hand like fine steel, and with the force he swung it out, he made a sonic boom. The terrifying explosion immediately turned the man into a ball of blood mist. The white wall was like a layer of blood paint. The blood sprayed on everyone's face like the morning rain mist. The Liuhe gang seemed to have pressed the pause button, and the scene was silent. Everyone present suddenly felt a chill in their hearts, and an inexplicable fear made them tremble and their legs became weak. To live or to die. I hope you can face the reality. Zhang Chen stood with a stick in his hand, and the dark weapon smashed a deep pit on the ground, and the remaining blood was still dripping. The terrifying oppressive feeling emanating from his body made everyone feel like they were falling into the abyss like an evil ghost pouncing on its food. The gang leader's men were hesitant for a moment, and some of them could no longer bear the tense pressure. They took the lead in laying down their weapons, and a chain reaction occurred like dominoes. After someone took the lead, everyone laid down their weapons and surrendered. Hey, you can't believe his one-sided words. Zhang Chen, this devil, will not let us go. I am your gang leader. You must listen to me. Shu Luo was furious when he saw everyone surrendering and turning against him, and he roared hoarsely. Zhang Chen pointed at Shu Luo with a stick in one arm. Kill him, prove your worth to me, and you can live. Everyone looked at each other and swallowed their saliva after hearing this. Seeing this, Lu Hua, the user of the door-to-door fruit, took the lead and attacked Shu Luo. If he wanted to survive, he had to show greater value than them. Seeing this, the others also joined in the siege of their old leader in order to survive. Every move hit the vital point. Life is so absurd. In the last second, he was still the subordinate of the gang leader, and in the next second, he had to siege his own gang leader under the order of a stranger. You guys are a bunch of traitors. Die for me. Shu Luo did not lose the upper hand in the face of the siege. He clenched his fists, and his fists were swift, hard, soft and powerful. A set of Liu He boxing moves like a dragon, is as steady as a crouching tiger, as fast as a cunning rabbit, as smart as a monkey, and as light as a crane. Lu Hua's door-to-door fruit is elusive. Taking advantage of the other's distraction, he cut Shu Luo from time to time, and escaped immediately after a successful strike. This old sick-style fighting style immediately made Shu Luo flustered. Soon, Shu Luo's body was covered with bloodstains of various sizes. The damage was not serious, but the insult was very strong. Shu Luo roared in anger, "Lu Hua, you are looking for death." At this moment, one of Shu Luo's former subordinates swung a knife at his neck. "You fool, it's endless, right?" Shu Luo dodged and clamped the man with both hands, his face looked like a madman. He suddenly exerted force with both arms and tore him in half. "No, don't." The man was terrified. Before he finished speaking, he was torn to pieces alive. Zhang Chen watched the internal fight among the people of Liu He gang with great interest. This man named Shu Luo is quite interesting. Shu Luo was fighting fiercely at this time. In a desperate situation, Liu He boxing was integrated with his body and mind, and gradually entered a good state, as if he had escaped into an inexplicable epiphany. Liu He boxing, the heart and mind are integrated, the mind and qi are integrated, the qi and strength are integrated, the hands and feet are integrated, the elbows and knees are integrated, the shoulders and hips are integrated, and the inside and outside are integrated. That is Liu He. Shu Luo's Liu He boxing, which had not been broken through for a long time, finally reached a higher level and reached the highest level of Liu He Jin. Ha 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 ha, Zhang Chen, thanks to you, my ancient martial arts Liu He boxing has finally reached the highest level. At this time, an air door behind him quietly opened, and Lu Hua stretched out a dagger from the air and stabbed Shu Luo again with the same trick. At this time, Shu Luo's martial arts had already reached the state of unity of body and mind, consistency of inside and outside, hands and feet, no advance or lag, no greed or apology. The downward force of the elbow is combined with the vertical force of the knee, the sinking force of the shoulder is combined with the holding force of the hip, the opening force of the shoulder is consistent with the round force of the crotch, the whole body is coordinated inside and outside, complementing each other without any disorder, and all 6 combinations are ready. He just turned around and hit, and in the confusion, he was the first to arrive, and hit Lu Hua's abdomen with a punch. He was immediately knocked out of the space and hit the wall, vomiting blood. He was listless and completely lost his fighting power. Then he looked at his men nearby with a fierce look in his eyes. "You bunch of fools. I treated you well, but you actually wanted to kill me for an outsider. I won't let any of you go." Then, with a big move, his hands, feet, elbows, knees, shoulders, and hips were all weapons. In a flash, all the men were defeated and fell to the ground. For a while, wailing sounded everywhere. Lu Hua, who fell to the ground with blood vomiting, stared at Shu Luo with an angry look. "Brothers, what we want from following you is just a place to settle down. Boss, you don't know your own weight and you are intervening in Zhang Chen and the Hao family, which are both giants for us. If you don't die, who will die? What do you know? The Hao family is big and powerful. Take this opportunity to stand in line and be their vanguard. In the future, my Liu He gang will definitely be able to move to a higher level." Shu Luo then pointed at Zhang Chen, "And this guy is just talented. Kill him while he is weak. I don't believe that the Hao family can take him down." "Excellent, very excellent. You really gave me a good show." Zhang Chen clapped his hands to applaud Shu Luo. You think we are just a boring pastime, right?" Shu Luo glared at Zhang Chen with gritted teeth. "So what?" Zhang Chen slammed the 8 fasts to the ground, and the ground cracked and shattered with a bang. He hooked his finger at Shu Luo. "Come on, your Lu Chequan seems to be interesting. There are other powers hidden in your body. Is it a fruit? Try to defeat me. Maybe you still have a chance. Asshole, who are you looking down on? Do I need your charity? Surprised that Zhang Chen saw through the clues. With a roar, Shu Luo's appearance changed drastically and turned into a cheetah. Shu Luo was the cheetah man who ate the leopard form of the animal-type cat fruit. Feeling the power and vitality gushing out of his body, Shu Luo was full of confidence. He exerted force on his feet and rushed towards Zhang Chen in an instant, using his hands and feet, coordinating up and down. With one strike, the power and speed were perfect, natural, and full of a violent beauty. This is the secret of Liuhe boxing. He is a person's innate instinct, born with it, and not something new. Just like when a person walks, when he steps forward with his left foot, he naturally swings his left hand backward. When the two arms push forward, the 2 feet naturally kick back, and when the 2 arms pull back, the body naturally leans back. When raising the hand, the lungs naturally inhale. When the hand falls, the lungs naturally exhale. When accumulating strength, inhale, and when exerting strength. In short, when a person is exercising, according to the innate instinct, he always naturally puts himself in the most stable state, and makes the most suitable posture for the current movement situation, and Liuhe boxing is to portray this instinct in the battle. Zhang Chen couldn't help but lose his mind slightly when he saw this, marveling at the magnificence of martial arts. He raised his hand and swung the mace across his body to block, and the iron rod and the leopard claw collided with a sizzle. And a burst of sparks burst out. Unable to claw, Shu Luo changed his claws into grips, clamped the mace and kicked towards Zhang Chen with both feet. A strong and powerful reaction force came, and Shu Luo felt that the bones of his legs were about to break. He jumped into the air with the force of the impact, and when he was about to land, his body curled up, perfectly removing the force. Zhang Chen was only knocked back a few steps. Shu Luo pursed his lips tightly, his eyes were solemn and he said nothing. Zhang Chen patted the dust on his chest, as if the previous injury was not worth mentioning. It's my turn. A cold voice sounded, and Zhang Chen leapt into the air with his powerful body and swung the mace mercilessly. Wherever the mace passed, a whistling wind blew, and the shaft of the mace was actually wrapped with white snake-shaped lightning. Thunder Bagua. If he couldn't swing a stick with the domineering color wrapped around it like Kaido and hit a smooth attack like Black Thunder, then it would be almost the same to use the fruit ability to replace the additional Thunder attribute. It's okay to call him Thunder Bagua, just think of it as Thunder Bagua version 1.0. Qinglong. But he is the master of fire, thunder and hurricane. Fast. It's too fast. Shu Luo's eyes widened, and he frantically tried to urge his consciousness to dodge. Even Shu Luo, who had reached the state of unity of body and mind, could only barely block with his arms crossed. A loud bang. The wall of the basement was broken through, and the ground shattered wherever the thunder passed. Broken stones were scattered all over the sky. Lu Hua and the others swallowed their saliva, looking like dumb chickens, and were terrified. Monster. Who can be an enemy of such a monster? Who dares to fight against such a monster? At this moment, they truly felt an incomparable fear, and Lu Hua no longer dared to have any strange thoughts. In the face of powerful strength, any tricks were useless, and the only thing to do was to surrender honestly. In the bar above, no one knew what happened. They only felt a loud bang, followed by a ground shaking. The circuit of the bar was completely paralyzed. The people who came here for entertainment thought there was an earthquake, and they fled in panic. Young men and women were frightened and their clothes were disheveled, and they fled frantically. When the smoke dissipated, in the depths of the pit, Shu Luo climbed up with a choking sound. At this time, his whole body was burned and charred, his arms were broken, and his chest was sunken. Cough cough. Shu Luo coughed out blood in large mouthfuls, mixed with broken internal organs. Feeling the constant passage of life, if it weren't for the ability of the animal fruit forcibly extending his life, he would have died by now. He looked up at Zhang Chen, and then at his former subordinates, with a bitter smile on his lips. This battle is not my fault. Even if I die, I still think my decision is right. The weak rely on the strong to seek survival and development. This is the law of nature. My Liuhe gang has been surrounded by enemies as it has grown stronger and stronger. Relying on the Hao family, this black and white family in Qingcheng's strong force definitely has more advantages than disadvantages. Unfortunately, man's plans are not as good as God's. Who would have thought that just a trivial matter of surveillance and tracking could lay the foundation for the destruction of my Liuhe gang? Who would have thought that when the two armies were fighting, the enemy commander would kill them directly if the soldiers moved lightly? Zhang Chen, you dare to pat your chest and say that you didn't send people to inquire about the news of the Hao family? Ha 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 ha, time and fate. Ahem. Lu Hua and others who fell to the ground couldn't help but sigh sadly when they heard this, and their sad expressions were filled with sadness, for their own survival and for Shu Luo's upcoming end. Then Shu Luo pointed his bloody arm at Zhang Chen with a mocking expression. You are too impatient. It's just a simple test that has caused you to be furious. Your weaknesses will be completely exposed to your enemies. In this struggle, you have already fallen into a disadvantage. Quote. A stream of white air came out of the corner of his mouth, and he walked in front of Shu Luo. Zhang Chen was surrounded by black air, and a terrifying domineering aura was overflowing. The oppressive feeling that could not be described in words swept all around. Everyone was almost unable to breathe due to the oppression. Shu Luo, who was already seriously injured, knelt on the ground, unable to hide the fear in his heart, and his body could not help but tremble instinctively. On Zhang Chen's dark and calm face, veins bulged, and scarlet light flashed in his terrifying golden eyes. Then kill. Kill until no one dares to disobey me. And you are just one of those who died in my hands, just an ant. Quote. It turns out that I am the real clown in the end. Unable to bear Zhang Chen's abyss-like pressure any longer, Shu Luo's spirit collapsed and he died completely. The leader of the Liuhe gang, who had risen from a gangster to a leader of the Qingcheng underground world, died silently in his own base camp. Looking at Shu Luo's motionless body, Zhang Chen sighed. Is there any hatred? In fact, there is no hatred. Zhang Chen never cares whether the opponent is a vicious gangster or a hero admired by thousands of people. If you make an enemy of someone, you must be prepared to be killed. After all, if a person is killed, he will die. It's your fault that you chose the wrong path. You dare to target my family. You just took a step ahead of the Hao family. Those who touch my reverse scale will not have a good end. Dragging Ba Jia Jia to Lu Hua and the others, the mace flashed across the floor, the harsh metal sound echoed in their ears like the whisper of the god of death. Lu Hua dared not breathe, and his feet could not help but retreat. There is a saying that goes, when the cunning rabbit dies, the running dog will be cooked. He is really afraid that Zhang Chen will go back on his word and start a killing spree. After all, who can guarantee whether these high-ranking monsters have any strange habits? Lu Hua carefully lowered his head and glanced at Zhang Chen with his peripheral vision. This master, when he kills, really doesn't look like a teenager of 18 or 19. He kills people like crazy, even more terrifying than monsters. He either smashes people's skulls or turns them into blood mist at any time. The bloody, terrifying and brutal feeling is simply full. In comparison, their so-called slitting necks and stabbing vital points are really too civilized. His own life is probably just an ant in his eyes. It all depends on Zhang Chen's mood. This feeling of waiting for judgment and not being able to decide life and death is like someone holding his heart tightly. It was almost suffocating. Zhang Chen sat on the ruins and looked at the few remaining living people including Lu Hua, who were staggering on the ground. They were the last few high-ranking people of Liuhe gang. Oh, don't worry, the chief culprit is dead and I am not interested in your lives. Seeing their fear, Zhang Chen mocked with disdain. Killing them is indeed easy, but it is of no use to himself. The strong found that killing the weak is not as good as forcing the weak to work for themselves, which is more beneficial to themselves. The weak also found that it is more cost-effective to live than to die, so a new rule was formed between the strong and the weak. That is, the weak should be enslaved by the strong and work for the strong. This is the rule set by the strong. And the weak also agreed. Zhang Chen also felt that it was better to subdue the Liuhe gang for his own use than to simply destroy it. Yes, you are the dazzling star in the sky, and we are just dust on the ground, ordinary people. Killing us will dirty your hands. Lu Hua quickly flattered him. Seeing Lu Hua so flattering, everyone shook their heads and secretly despised him. Tisk, what do you know? Do you think you can walk in the world with just a passion? Do you think you can be successful and famous if you dare to fight and kill? Do you think you can get rich and noble in danger if you dare to fight? Wake up, naive. Look at the corpses around. The remains of the old gang leader are still telling the sadness. Lu Hua curled his lips in disapproval at the hidden white eyes of the crowd. Ignoring Lu Hua's flattery, Zhang Chen said indifferently, I won't kill you, but from today on, Liu He gang must obey my orders. Who agrees? Who opposes? We are willing to surrender. Lu Hua took the lead and set an example. The others also knew how to judge the situation and expressed their surrender. Very good. Tell me about the business scope of your Liu He gang. Someone nearby brought a relatively intact chair and handed it to Zhang Chen to sit down. He showed a humble and flattering smile. Brother Chen, sit down. Seeing this, Lu Hua was secretly annoyed, angry that he was a step late. I only dared to call Zhang Chen Zhang Xiao, but he climbed up and called Brother Chen. Faced with Zhang Chen's question, he hurriedly spoke first. Brother Chen, I am familiar with the business of the Liu He gang. Our Liu He gang's regular business is to open entertainment venues such as bars, video game arcades and casinos. Bailey usually makes a lot of money. But they were all hidden in Shu Luo's small treasury. Brother Chen, don't worry, I Lu Hua will definitely find the key to the small treasury and give the treasure to Brother Chen. Zhang Chen was also very happy when he heard this, pointing at Lu Hua and said. Okay, Lu Hua, you always find some new tricks for me. Find Shu Luo's legacy. I will give you the position of the leader of the Liu He gang. Lu Hua was overjoyed and hurriedly expressed his loyalty. Then he looked down at his former colleagues with pride. This world is not about fighting and killing, but about human relationships. The few people who were swept by Lu Hua forced smiles on their faces and congratulated one after another, but their cheeks were almost bitten to pieces behind their backs. Fence-sitters, flatterers, this Lu Hua is really lucky. Zhang Chen certainly knew what kind of people these people were, but he didn't care. He just regarded the Liu He gang as a tool to make money and get information, and he could sacrifice it at any time when necessary. Lu Hua, you said that your Liu He gang's regular business is these, tell me what the irregular business is. Zhang Chen's eyes were playful. Hey, that, Brother Chen, our dishonest behavior is just collecting protection fees from the surrounding merchants, lending money at high interest rates, selling a popular substance called acetaminophen on the market, and, occasionally trafficking people to other underground forces. Lu Hua raised his head and carefully observed Zhang Chen's expression, fearing that he would make him unhappy. After all, each of these things sounded easy but was actually very sinful. As Lu Hua explained, Zhang Chen also gradually understand their so-called improper things. The so-called acetylene powder is simply a contraband that makes people addicted and excited. Too many people are addicted to the poisonous claws of acetylene powder because of their despair of this world. And most of the trafficked people are the pillars of the family who died in the fight against monsters and fog, and the elderly, children, women and children who are left alone. HMPH. Things that are not worthy of being on the table. From today on, all the improper businesses of the Liu He gang will be cut off. Lu Hua, remember my words, if you can't figure it out, it's your head that will be cut off. Lu Hua and the others were immediately frightened and sweating, their legs trembled, and they nodded in agreement. Zhang Chen looked at them coldly. In today's era, the human race is struggling to survive. Whether it is the acetylene powder that wears down the will and leads to depravity, or the trafficking of the families of soldiers defending their homes, they are all very vicious and evil, chilling. Even Zhang Chen despised this kind of behavior. Zhang Chen felt that he could distinguish right from wrong. Chen, Brother Chen, it's about human trafficking. There are many underground forces asking us to do this. If we completely cut it off now, it will be difficult to report to the authorities. Our Liu He gang may suffer a disaster. Let's just ask if we can take a gradual approach to reduce it. Lu Hua bravely swallowed his saliva and asked carefully. Zhang Chen's eyes condensed, and murderous intent emerged. Do you need me to repeat it a second time? Yes, yes, yes. I will immediately cut off all the shady businesses. I will never hold you back. Lu Hua seemed to have walked through the gates of hell, and his heart was pounding. Don't worry, if I really meet an opponent I can't compete with, I will take action. Zhang Chen spoke as a reassurance to them. Everyone felt relieved immediately. Zhang Chen then pointed to the man who was tied to the sandbag and the two women who were with Shu Luo. Now they were lying on the ruins and their lives were unknown. Could it be that these 3 people were trafficked by you? A senior member of the Liuhe gang stepped forward to explain. No, Brother Chen, the man was caught by us because he borrowed high-interest loans and didn't pay them back. The 2 women were just hostesses with Shu Luo. It's an unprovoked disaster. Go and treat them and send them to the hospital. Don't forget to give them some compensation. That's what you owe, Zhang Chen said lightly. Chapter 51. Shu Luo, the leader of Liuhe gang, is dead. When did you get the news? Just 2 days after we asked him to monitor Zhang Chen's family. Did Zhang Chen do it? It's most likely him, although the news is about an internal gang fight. Shu Luo was ambushed and killed by Lu Hua, one of his subordinates who used the ability of the gate fruit. Look, uncle, no matter how powerful the opponent is, there will always be a weak spot, right? In a high-end club, Hao Sei, the eldest son of the Hao family, was conspiring with his uncle Hao Niubai. Father is really something. He actually ordered us not to take action against Zhang Chen for the time being. Does he really think of me as his son? Hao Sei's face was hideous, and he smashed the wine glass in his hand. The facial wound was pulled, and he couldn't help but screaming in pain. The 2 beautiful girls who were accompanying him to drink were frightened and collapsed to the side. Hao Niubai hurried forward to comfort his nephew. Your father must have his reasons for doing this, don't worry, although we can't take action against him openly for the time being, but there are policies from above, and countermeasures from below. This matter is up to uncle. Hao Sei's face turned from anger to joy after hearing this. Uncle, do you have a countermeasure to avenge me? Hao Niubai smiled calmly. This Zhang Chen is really a young man. He is too impatient. We just sent someone to investigate his family lightly, and his reaction was so great. It can be seen that his family is very important to him. Uncle, don't keep me in suspense. I know all this. The key is how to avenge me without anyone knowing. Hao Sei was anxious and couldn't wait to hear the next step. Hao Niubai took a sip of wine slowly and played with the beauty in his arms. Why are you in such a hurry? I'll tell you a secret. Do you remember the monster attack that happened near the monster defense line? Of course I remember. I heard that it was a powerful bronze-level monster, the human-faced moth, which devoured many masters. This monster is very evil. When it eats a person, the person's face will appear on the face of the human-faced moth. This monster is very good at camouflage. After devouring flesh and blood, it will wear the clothes of the dead, hide in the dark, and wait for an opportunity to move, looking for the next victim. The army branch spent a lot of manpower and paid a lot of painful price to catch this monster. After research, guess what? Hausa was excited and asked hurriedly. What's the matter? Is there anything special about this human-faced moth? When of course there is. Just from the name, you can tell that any demon beast can be fierce, cruel, brutal and bloodthirsty. But it is absolutely impossible to be evil. Quote, speaking of this, Hao Niubai couldn't help but show a trace of doubt. Research has found that this human-faced moth has no wisdom at all. It just acts on instinct. After being caught and unable to eat people, it will fall into a stagnation, silent, not eating or drinking, and will not resist attacks. Its human face will gradually rot and disappear like a dead person, and its face will become blank. You know, everything related to evil is inseparable from the word fog in the end. Hiss, that's evil enough. Haos couldn't help but get goosebumps. Haos, do you know what the strong people who have been on the front line to defend the city and protect mankind are most afraid of encountering? Haos seemed to be talking to Hao Sei, and seemed to be talking to himself. They would rather fight the monsters with real swords and guns at the monster defense line. They are unwilling to face the unknown and unpredictable evil and weird existences in the depths of the fog. Uncle, your story is very exciting. I dare not go to the toilet alone at night, but what does this have to do with our trouble with Zhang Chen? Hao Sei interrupted his uncle Hao Niubai and said, Hee, you don't know this, the army branch has finally researched something and found that it is particularly sensitive to the blood smell of monsters and humans, which can easily stimulate its desire to attack. What do you think will happen if we mix the blood of beasts and humans and spray it near the house of Zhang Chen's family? It just so happens that the army branch has not been able to find any clues recently, and is preparing to send it to the prison in the jurisdiction of your uncle and me for custody. You said that it escaped accidentally in the middle of the journey. The uncle and nephew smiled at each other and drank a cup. Nephew, this is known only to heaven and earth, you and me, but you are not allowed to tell anyone else. Don't worry, uncle, I will keep my mouth shut. I just don't know if these beauties can keep their mouths shut. Haos looked at the beauties drinking with him in the private room with a half smile. The beauties were so frightened that they knelt down and swore that they would keep what they heard tonight to themselves. At this time, they complained bitterly. They thought it was just a normal job of accompanying guests. They didn't care about Hao Se and Hao Niubi's discussion about Zhang Chen. They just thought that the unlucky guy was unlucky to offend the Hao family. Although they felt something was wrong when they heard about the introduction of the human-faced moth, they just listened to it as a strange story. Who knew that there would be a murder plot later? This was not something that these weak women could listen to. At this time, they could only pray to God for these two big men to let them go. Uncle, don't you need a mixture of animal blood and human blood? These are ready-made. Haos pointed at the beautiful women accompanying guests, his face was like a devil. No, help, As the uncle and nephew of the Hao family left the private room and walked away, a team of cleaning staff rushed into the private room in a moment, followed by the sound of dragging heavy objects. The private room was clean and tidy again, spotless. A dimly lit and dark conference room. Can you tell me why the experimental subjects are so few this month? A gloomy voice sounded in the darkness. No way, it seems that there are some problems in the downstream source. A small force called Liuhe Gang seems to have overthrown its former leader, and the new leader cut off all dark industries, as if he wants to whitewash. The market for human trafficking has recently seen a sharp drop in the volume of goods, resulting in a shortage of goods. Many other dark forces are competing with us, especially the organ crime group. We who do biological experiments can only burn money. How can we compete with them compared to making money? I don't care about the progress of biological experiments, we can't stop. This is an order from the top. To put pressure on the dark forces that manage human trafficking, you can't even deal with a small force in your own territory, what a waste. Also put a batch of berserker potions on the market. If there are no experimental subjects, let those customers become our experimental subjects. It's just a loss of some lifespans. Understood. In the evening, far away from the bustling urban center of Qingcheng, near the edge of the city, the urban-rural junction is where many ordinary people who work hard all day just to make ends meet live. Most of the people here are old residential areas and some seriously polluting chemical plants. Zhang Chen's home is also here. The hardworking people walk together after get-off work in groups of 3 or 2, talking and laughing. A wide and rugged gravel road leads directly to the residential area in the distance. The cool spring breeze soothes people's tired hearts, and the willow trees on both sides of the road sway gently, rolling up a circle of catkins. In the end, I was glad that the sunset still stayed on me. I didn't have time to tell the story of how ups and downs. Zhang Chen was carrying 2 bottles of foreign wine Louis XVIII and was ready to take them back for his father to try. He asked someone to get them from Liuhe Bar. It was said that brandy was very expensive and cost 28,888 Baileys per bottle. I don't know if it tastes good or not, anyway Zhang Chen can't get used to it, and I don't know if my dad likes it. Zhang Chen, humming a song, staggered towards home. There were scattered shops and mobile food stalls on both sides of the road. An old lady who lived downstairs from Zhang Chen's house came over with a cane and a basket of vegetables, apparently going to the vegetable market to buy vegetables. She smiled when she saw Zhang Chen. Oh, it's the boy from the Zhang family, school is over. It's Aunt Zhang, she's going to make delicious food for her grandson again. Oh, that's right, the child is picky about food, and he insists on eating some vegetable meatball soup. It's normal for children to be picky about food. Occasionally, when he met acquaintances of his parents, Zhang Chen would greet them with a smile. Old Lady Zhang looked at Zhang Chen's tall figure and strong muscles, and was a little hesitant to speak, but finally spoke. Zhang Chen, I didn't realize you've grown up so much and still don't have a girlfriend. I'm not saying anything bad about you. It's good for a man to exercise, but you can't do it too much. You won't be liked by girls like this. Quote. Zhang Chen waved his hands speechlessly. What do old people know? Big muscles are good, and more muscles are beautiful. If you are a real man, you should exercise yourself. Look at those skinny guys, I can beat them to death with one punch. A real man knows what he needs in his heart. Is it okay, Zigu? Zhang Chen complained wildly in his heart, and said a few words to Aunt Zhang calmly before saying goodbye and leaving. There is nothing to talk about, and there is no way to talk anymore. When passing by the park bench, Zhang Chen's sensitive sense of smell smelled a slight rotten smell. It's like a pile of dead fish and shrimps thrown into the trash can in the middle of summer, and no one cleaned it up for a long time, emitting a disgusting smell. Ah! Zhang Chen almost retched, looking for the source of the stench. He turned around and saw a middle-aged man wrapped in tattered clothes sitting on a park bench. His face was pale and bloodless, and he stared blankly at the gate of Xingfu Jiayuan not far away. He ignored the passers-by in Zhang Chen's disgust. Zhang Chen's home is in the community. Zhang Chen knew that this man was a homeless man who had been wandering in the surrounding communities for a long time and made a living by begging. Zhang Chen turned his head and held his breath to quickly pass through the suffocation area formed by the homeless man. After more than 10 steps, he suddenly took a big breath of fresh air. How long has this man not taken a shower? He stinks all over, his face is whiter than if I had died for 3 days, and his figure is also very strange. I have never seen him become so short and swollen before. Zhang Chen shook his head, too lazy to think. He felt that it was time to change the living environment for his parents and younger sister. Now that he has money, he can buy a house in a good and prosperous area. After Zhang Chen walked away, the homeless man sitting on the bench slowly turned his pale head behind him. If passers-by saw this, they would be scared to death. Who can turn their head 180 degrees? When Zhang Chen came downstairs of his house, he smelled a completely different fishy smell, just like rotten meat dripping with stinky blood, which was smeared on your face for 49 days. This feeling of wanting to escape but not being able to escape. I can't stay in this place for a moment. Move. I must move. This old community can't even afford a sanitation worker, right? After 2 critical hits in one day, Zhang Chen felt that his spirit was polluted. Thanks to his strong physical fitness, his sense of smell is several times that of ordinary people, and the critical hits he received are also stronger than others. Like a feint, he returned home. Seeing that his son's face was not right, his mother Zhang Lin hurriedly stepped forward to ask worriedly. What's wrong, son? What happened? Why is your face so bad? Zhang Chen casually said Yan was fine, so he took the 2 bottles of foreign wine and handed them to his father Zhang Yuansheng. Dad, look at the 2 bottles of good wine I brought you. Oh, you've grown up. Zhang Yuansheng took it happily while smoking a cigarette. Hee, I still haven't drunk foreign wine. I can't read foreign languages. My son is expensive, right? Not at all. I bought it at a discount from a friend. Zhang Chen laughed it off. Zhang Yuansheng was usually very frugal. If he really told him the price of the wine, he would probably be so angry that he would call Zhang Chen a prodigal. It's better to have less trouble than more. Zhang Chen made up an excuse to get rid of Zhang Yuansheng's inquiry. Just spoil him. Drinking every day will cause trouble sooner or later. Yang's mother was angry. After dinner, the family stayed on the sofa watching TV and chatting. Zhang Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes and tilted her head to look at her brother Zhang Chen. Brother, didn't your school hold the devil fruit opening ceremony many days ago? It's been so many days, and we didn't ask, and you didn't tell us, really. After hearing this, Yang's father and mother also became interested and stopped eating melon seeds. In order not to put too much pressure on their son, they didn't pay much attention to his fruit acquisition. In fact, they were also very curious about what kind of devil fruit Zhang Chen got. Oh, it's the animal-type fish fruit, the fantasy beast species. Zhang Chen calmly ate an apple and watched TV, without any intention of hiding his strength from his parents. Oh, the fish fruit, it's okay, son, don't be discouraged, everyone has their own destiny. Hey, wait, the fantasy beast species Qinglong. The parents and the little sister opened their mouths wide, and the melon seeds in their hands fell to the ground at the same time. They are really a family. You are Qinglong Zhang Chen, the #1 prodigy in Qingcheng who has been making a lot of noise in the news recently. What are you doing? What Qinglong Zhang Chen? I'm your son. You're so excited. I thought you knew it from the news. Zhang Chen curled his lips and said indifferently. Yang's father and mother were speechless. They were busy with work and had no time to care about news about prodigies. Making money to support the family was their top priority. Although they had heard about it and knew that their son was a little genius, they never dared to think about the title of Chingchung's #1 prodigy. They just thought it was a coincidence that they had the same name. Even the colleagues around them teased them about it. Who would have thought that their son would be so promising? Haha, my son Zhang Chen has the potential to be an emperor. The heartless Zhang Xiaoxiao was very happy at this time. Yeah, my brother is the #1 prodigy in Chingcheng. I'll tell my classmates and scare them to death. Let's see if they dare to disobey me in the future, hee. Zhang Chen patted her forehead and smiled. Good fellow, you use my name to bully people everywhere. You little villain, you want to make enemies for your brother, right? After pretending to be a big shot in front of his parents and younger sister, Zhang Chen spoke. Mom and Dad, since you have discovered me, I will not pretend anymore. That's right, I am rich now. You know me. I am a genius. People always rush to give me money. So I plan to change our house to a better one. What do you think? Zhang Yuansheng and Zhang Lin were moved by what he said, but they still said, why waste that money? This place is good and there is no need. My son is thoughtful. Mom and Dad, I am serious about changing the house. The environment here is not good. It is remote and old. It may become a dangerous house one day. It may collapse one day. There are also some homeless people wandering around. You don't want Xiao Xiao to have anything happen on the way home, right? Zhang Chen persuaded them with emotion and reason, and with Zhang Xiaoxiao's crying expression, Yang's father and mother finally agreed to find time to look at the house. Oh yeah, we are moving to a new house. Zhang Xiaoxiao was very noisy. Late at night, Zhang Chen was suddenly awakened by a chill. He suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were solemn. Just in his dream, his sixth sense was constantly warning him that there was a dangerous atmosphere nearby. He turned over and got out of bed, and Zhang Chen immediately activated his observation hockey. The powerful perception permeated the surroundings. Parents and Xiao Xiao were sleeping in their respective bedrooms. Xiao Xiao kicked the quilt everywhere in his sleep. Suddenly Zhang Chen's face turned cold, and in his powerful observation hockey perception, there was a vague figure standing outside the window of the living room balcony without moving. As if it lasted forever. This is the 14th floor. None of the trees around the community can grow to the height of the 14th floor. Zhang Chen felt a slight chill on his back, and his intuition told him that the figure that came was definitely not a human. His observation hockey did not even sense the extra life breath and heartbeat of that figure. Which evildoer dares to run wild in my house? In order not to wake up his family, Zhang Chen carefully opened the door, walked to the living room and looked at the figure through the window. The figure was the homeless man that Zhang Chen had seen in the evening. At this time, the homeless man was still wrapped in the tattered clothes, his face was pale and creepy, and he was suspended in the air. What was even more weird was that he was facing Zhang Chen, but his toes were pointing outward. Zhang Chen almost couldn't breathe when he saw this. What the hell? This person was clearly facing the window with his back to the window, but his face was facing him. Is it a special devil fruit ability? Zhang Chen calmed his mind and guessed secretly. That's right, it must be. A man does not talk about strange things. I have never heard of ghosts in this world. Zhang Chen's face was hideous. You scared me. I'm going to tear your head off today. Then Zhang Chen tightened his clothes, flew forward, opened the balcony window at lightning speed, took out the 8 fasts with his right hand, swept across the 4 directions and slashed at the unknown monster fiercely. That's right. Before knowing what the monster was made of, Zhang Chen really didn't dare to touch the other party with his own flesh and blood. God knows what kind of disgusting thing this thing is. The monster was very fast, and it retreated slightly to avoid Zhang Chen's attack. Zhang Chen's original intention was just to drive it away. After all, he couldn't put the battlefield too close to home. Then Zhang Chen rushed into the sky with a moon step, holding the 8 fasts and hooked his hand at the monster. The monster raised his head and turned his face 360 degrees, his eyes facing down, his mouth facing up, staring at Zhang Chen expressionlessly, and also flew to chase Zhang Chen. This guy, what the hell is this thing? It can't even feel any emotional fluctuations. Zhang Chen secretly thought, while continuing to lure the monster to fly to the remote suburbs far away from Xingfu's home. Two figures, one big and one small, chased each other in the sky like meteors. It only took a moment. Zhang Chen landed on a wasteland, twisted his neck, loosened his muscles, and turned to look at the flying monster tramp. Although I don't know what you are, you'd better confess now. After all, life and death will not be up to you when we fight later. The monster had no desire to communicate at all, and rushed straight to Zhang Chen. The mouth suddenly opened, an exaggerated bloody mouth, and bit Zhang Chen. What the hell? Thunder Bagua. Zhang Chen backhanded the stick and chopped it up. The fine steel long stick collided fiercely with the monster's sharp teeth. The collision made a harsh friction sound. Zhang Chen exerted force with his arm, knocked it back 100 meters, and broke several trees. Small lightning kept crackling along the way. The monster's neck was broken, but it stood up again, pressed its neck back to its original position with its arm, and was alive and well again. Then it was even more. The clothes burst, revealing a body like a silkworm pupa. Two transparent wings suddenly opened behind him. Hiss, is this a demon beast or a user of the moth fruit ability? Before Zhang Chen could think, the wings of the moth-like monster suddenly flapped, and in the blink of an eye, it crossed a distance of 100 meters and came to Zhang Chen's side. The body rotated, and the wings as thin as cicada wings swept towards Zhang Chen's legs like a blade. So fast, Zhang Chen's eyes focused. He jumped high in the nick of time and avoided this fierce murderous intent. At the same time, he turned over like a python, swung the mace and chopped it down. Zhang Chen chopped 5 sticks in a row, but he didn't expect that the monster's wings as thin as cicada wings were unusually hard. He was able to fight with Zhang Chen without losing the upper hand. In the end, he was still repelled several meters by Zhang Chen. No human of the same level can fight me head-on. It seems that you are not a human. That is a monster. Interesting, are monsters so smart now? They can wear clothes to disguise themselves. Zhang Chen smiled, and at the same time he was secretly thinking, how could it be so coincidental that the monster actually crossed the frontline monster defense line and came here, and happened to come to the neighborhood where his parents lived? Zhang Chen always felt that there was something wrong here. But who is so capable of letting a bronze-level monster into the city? Aren't you afraid of playing badly? Zhang Chen now wants to capture it alive to find more clues from it. At this time, the moth monster on the opposite side didn't care so much, still looking at Zhang Chen with a dull expression, rushing to attack. The sharp teeth exuded a terrifying green cold light, and it was obvious that there was a dead poison in the mouth. Zhang Chen didn't want to fight it in close combat, so he stepped on the ground with his feet at a high frequency and flashed 100 meters away. Unexpectedly, the speed of the moth monster was also not much slower, and the wings raised a gust of wind, also 100 meters in an instant. Trouble! He raised his foot and kicked the monster with a thunder kick. He interrupted the monster's flight, and at the same time, he held the 8 fasts with both arms and struck Washan from above. A thin lightning bolt was drawn down from the sky and wrapped around the mace. Boom! There was a sound like thunder from the ground. Quick! We must find the escaped monster as soon as possible at all costs. Otherwise, Qingcheng may have a large-scale death incident. Captain Liu Chang. According to the tracker, the last place the monster appeared was here. Under the dark night, a fully armed team, led by a man and a woman, came to the gate of Xingfu Jiayuan community. The woman who was talking was lowering her head and constantly fiddling with the compass-like tracker in her hand. Liu Chang, with a resolute and serious face and wearing a military uniform, stared at the female subordinate nervously. How is it? The chip implanted in the human-faced moth's body seems to have been damaged, and there is no further information for the time being. The woman with a childish face but a heroic temperament shook her head, indicating that they might have lost the location information of the human-faced moth. Liu Chang punched the tree, and immediately a large fist hole was smashed into the tree. There is no other way. Mark all the suburbs nearby as warning areas. Search them one by one. Don't let the monster attack civilians. At this time, Liu Chang was extremely angry. This human-faced moth had killed countless masters in the monster defense line at the border of Qingcheng. The Qingcheng army branch had to mobilize a lot of combat power to barely subdue it. Including himself, there were 5 bronze-level masters participating in the battle. Even several of his comrades were unfortunately killed in the battle. When Liu Cheng thought of the monster killing people with the face of his close comrade, he couldn't help but feel grief. It was clearly caught and sent to a prison in Qingcheng for imprisonment and waiting for processing. How could it suddenly escape? Liu Cheng was really puzzled by this matter. If I find out that someone is playing tricks, I will definitely peel his skin off. Just thinking about it, a sharp insect chirp and a bright blue sky thunder exploded from a distance. Liu Cheng and the fully armed people stared at each other. Over there, chase them. Everyone got the order and jumped onto the roof of the high wall and rushed to the target area. All of them were first-class senior Black Iron Realm masters. At this time, Zhang Chen entered the Dragon Man form, emitting hot steam all over his body, holding a mace, breathing heavily, staring at a pile of bloody monsters that looked like moths in the deep pit under his feet. At this time, the bloody flesh was still wriggling. This guy, it seems like he is immortal. Zhang Chen had wanted to capture the monster with a human face and a moth body alive, but he didn't expect that the monster seemed to have no sense of pain, and even no fear. The 4 arthropod-like legs were broken by Zhang Chen, and the wings were torn by Zhang Chen, but he still rushed to Zhang Chen regardless of everything. A life-for-life style. It was like an irrational madman, no, more terrifying than a madman. The key is that the body of the monster is very strange. If the legs are broken, just pick them up and put them back together. If the neck is broken, just twist it straight. If the wings are cracked, just put them together. The body is like a puzzle. The scary thing is that it is really useful. After installing it, it will be full of energy again. Zhang Chen also became interested when he encountered such a monster. He never believed that there are immortal monsters or perpetual motion machines. If there are, there must be a special energy source in an unknown place that can continuously replenish the loss. Although this world does not follow the law of conservation of energy, power can never be generated out of thin air. There must be some source explanation. Zhang Chen kept destroying the body tissue of the monster. As he was beating, a broken square metal piece popped out of the monster's body. It looked like a chip. Zhang Chen ignored it and continued to destroy the monster's body. If there were outsiders present at this scene, they would probably call it cruel. This is simply a living scene of whipping a corpse. So the scene at the beginning appeared. Zhang Chen, who was a little tired from fighting, was panting and holding a mace, looking at a pool of blood mud under the deep pit. The blood mud kept wriggling and seemed to be undergoing some kind of transformation. It was not only not weakening but also strengthening. Zhang Chen stared at the monster's fermentation behavior with interest. He really wanted to see what new tricks this monster could bring to it. The powerful strength gave Zhang Chen unparalleled confidence. He didn't think that this monster with a human face and a moth body could turn over his palm. At this time, a subtle sound of footsteps came from nearby. Zhang Chen frowned and sensed that a group of people were approaching quickly. Among them, there was a strong bronze-level aura flashing. Is it the mastermind behind the monster? Zhang Chen thought secretly clenched the 8 fists in his hand, and looked in the direction of the person with a cold expression. At this time, Liu Cheng and others rushed to the vicinity of the wasteland in a hurry. At a glance, I saw the bloody monster lying in the deep pit and the hideous dragon standing nearly 8 meters tall. The first monster held an extremely exaggerated heavy mace that was more than 1 person tall, staring at them. The blazing and bright golden dragon eyes were like the god of death that was high above, which was chilling. What kind of monster is this? Are 2 monsters fighting each other? The bronze-level human-faced moth was beaten like this. How terrifying must this dragon-headed monster be? It's over. Its ferocious face that chooses people to eat is so scary. The sense of oppression is too strong. I'm afraid Captain Liu Cheng is not a match. I want to call my mother and tell her not to prepare breakfast for me tomorrow. The fully armed team members swallowed their saliva. Even though they were very scared, the responsibility in their hearts still supported them to raise their weapons and aim at Zhang Chen. The atmosphere suddenly became dangerous. Enough. Put down your weapons. He is not a monster, he is a human. The animal-type fruit ability user. Idiots, I told you to study hard but you didn't listen. You just watch short videos and give gifts to the anchor every day. Captain Liu Cheng shouted at his men, and at the same time, he clasped his fists to Zhang Chen to show his goodwill. What? This is a human. I have heard of someone whose animal-type transformation can become so big. It's too exaggerated. Everyone looked at Zhang Chen's tall body in disbelief, their faces full of disbelief. Shut up. Tell me your origins and what is your relationship with this monster. Ignoring the goodwill released by the man who looked like the leader on the opposite side, Zhang Chen asked coldly, and at the same time, his powerful observation color was constantly sensing their emotions. If there is any hesitation or quibbling in their answers, Zhang Chen will definitely kill them. As if sensing Zhang Chen's killing intent, the leading man looked solemn. He felt a great sense of oppression, and his body's sixth sense kept warning him. Stay away from that man. How could it be? Lu Cheng's heart was filled with turbulent waves. As a captain of the Qingcheng Army branch, one of the most powerful bronze-level masters, he had been fighting monsters for many years and faced countless dangers. He had never felt such a fatal pressure as now. He had only felt this feeling from his superior, the strongest man in Qingcheng. The head of the army branch, Major Duan Tianya. Could it be that the person in front of him can be on par with his own boss? Qingcheng has never heard of a new silver-level strongman. Lu Qiangqiang suppressed his uneasiness and clasped his fists again. Excuse me, senior. We are from the Qingcheng Army Branch Demon Hunting Brigade. This time we are here with a tracker to track down a fleeing monster, which is the human-faced moth in the deep pit under your feet. After saying that, Lu Cheng looked at Zhang Chen with a hint of respect. There is no way the situation is stronger than the person. Now he doesn't know what the background of this dragon-headed strongman is, and his strength is so strong, and he is the existence of single-handedly defeating the human-faced moth. He can care about his own life, but he must be responsible for the lives of these brothers. Sensing that they were not lying, Zhang Chen put down his weapon, and after canceling the transformation, he showed a self-proclaimed kind smile. So it's you, my brothers from the Army Demon Hunting Brigade. I admire you guys who are fighting on the front line. Haha, it was mostly a misunderstanding just now. The situation is special. My name is Zhang Chen. I'm just an ordinary high school student. I can't be called a senior. Seeing Zhang Chen's transformation, his body shrunk to that of a teenager, everyone exclaimed that he was so young. When they heard Zhang Chen's words again, they were stunned. Zhang Chen, high school student, dragon head and human body. You are the #1 prodigy in Qingcheng, Zhang Chen, who is known as the Azure Dragon. Lu Cheng also looked incredible at this time. Are all the teenagers nowadays so fierce? When he thought about calling a teenager who was only the age of his own son a senior, his old face suddenly blushed. It's over. How can he get along in front of his colleagues after this gets out? It's just an empty name, not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. Zhang Chen waved his hand modestly, but there was no modesty on his face. You are a real hero, Comrade Zhang Chen. You have eliminated such a great evil for Qingcheng and directly avoided a large-scale disaster. Captain Lu Cheng, the leader of the Qingcheng Army Division's Demon Hunting Team, expresses his sincere gratitude to you on behalf of the Qingcheng Army Division. Lu Cheng stepped forward and pointed at the monster in the deep pit, saluted and thanked Zhang Chen sincerely. Zhang Chen waved his hand. It was just a small favor. Captain Lu Cheng, what is the origin of this monster? It seems to be slightly different from ordinary monsters. Zhang Chen asked Lu Cheng for information. Well, it's a long story. This monster was originally just a slightly stronger bronze-level monster, named Flying Moth. It has been in the Army's tracking files. You may not know that when a powerful monster appears around the city, the Army branches in various places will generally record it in case of emergency. Just a month ago, this flying moth was defeated in a battle for territory with another bronze-level monster, the evil winged tiger. In order to avoid being hunted down by the evil tiger, it actually escaped into the fog and disappeared since then. Until recently, it suddenly reappeared. I don't know how it has become what it is now. It is neither dead nor alive. Not only has it lost consciousness, it has also become a monster with a human face and a moth body. Hearing this, Zhang Chen understood. He had heard that the fog was turbulent and strange. It actually turned a bronze-level monster with a bright future in the wild into its current appearance. Then may I ask, Comrade Captain, how did this strange monster break through the front line and enter the city? Zhang Chen directly hit the core doubts. Lu Cheng hesitated, his eyebrows twisted together, as if he was poked in a sore spot, and it was a bit difficult to speak. The heroic and young female demon hunting team member next to him seemed to be Liu Chang's deputy. She frowned and said angrily with a righteous face. It's all the fault of those guys in the supervisory department. It obviously cost a huge price to capture this human face, but the monster escaped because the supervisory staff drank alcohol. It's funny to tell others. Supervision department. What a coincidence. Zhang Chen secretly complained in his heart. Hee. Okay, Duan Wei. The army and the supervisory department are all colleagues, so don't say a few words. Family disgrace should not be made public. Liu Chang kept blinking his eyes hoping to shut up Duan Wei's chattering mouth. What are you afraid of? Captain, you give them face to the supervisory department, I won't buy their account. After saying that, the pretty girl named Duan Wei turned her head and looked at Zhang Chen. You are Zhang Chen, I have heard of your name for a long time. I am also a student from Qingcheng No. 1 Middle School, 4 years older than you. Logically, I am still your senior. Zhang Chen, you are so powerful, why don't you come to our army? Our army is in need of a gifted person like you. Duan Wei looked at Zhang Chen excitedly. Haha, I admire your army's spirit of defending the country, but everyone has their own ambitions. I, Zhang Chen, am used to being casual and like to be alone. Quote. Zhang Chen smiled faintly and declined politely. What a joke, a real man lives between heaven and earth, how can he be depressed and live under others for a long time? Duan Wei frowned slightly and spoke with a questioning tone unconsciously. Student Zhang Chen, now the world is full of demons and evil spirits. As the saying goes, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. You are so powerful, how can you be indifferent? How can a passionate man not want to serve the country? Quote. This set of combos made Zhang Chen confused. Without answering her words, Zhang Chen looked uneasy and his voice suddenly became impatient. Why, now this demon has been beaten into a pile of mud by me, it's late at night, you should go back early and do what you need to do. Quote. Duan Wei was about to speak, but was pulled behind by Liu Chang. Brother Zhang Chen, I'm so sorry. I'm a few years older than you and I called you brother. I'm not restrained in my words. If I offended you, I'll wait for her to apologize to you. Haha. Quote. Liu Chang looked at Zhang Chen with an apologetic look on his face, and was also very annoyed in his heart. Duan Wei was good at everything, hated evil and was upright and kind, but she was too impulsive. How could she interfere with other people's future choices? Zhang Chen waved his hand, indicating that he didn't care. Seeing that Duan Wei seemed to be still not distracted, Liu Chang quickly changed the subject. Brother Zhang, since this monster was defeated by you, it should belong to you. However, the original mission of my demon hunting team is to capture this monster. Brother Zhang, why don't you name a price, and we can buy this monster? Zhang Chen looked at Liu Chang and couldn't help but look up to him in his heart. He was righteous and flexible, and his words sounded much more pleasant. She was much better than the rough girl next to her. No wonder she could be the captain. Captain Liu, you are polite. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for revealing the news of this monster. This monster appeared inexplicably near my home, and I was worried for a long time. You can take this monster if you want. Quote. Zhang Chen paused, then continued. But I want to correct you, I haven't subdued this monster yet. Before he finished speaking, as if responding to Zhang Chen's words, the flesh and blood of the monster in the deep pit seemed to be pulled in midair and condensed into a cocoon shape. The second round begins. Zhang Chen muttered to himself. You are welcome. Zhang Chen walked aside and left the stage to Liu Chang and the others. What is going on? Liu Chang frowned, and the faces of the demon hunting team changed. At this time, the silkworm pupa condensed with flesh and blood trembled slightly, as if brewing some terrifying existence. We must not let it continue to develop. Destroy it. With Liu Chang's order, the demon hunting team raised their guns in unison, and fierce gunfire poured down for a while. One person picked up the Gatling gun with blue flames, and the bullet shells fell to the ground like they were free. Duan Wei's slender and upright body held up the jet that was bigger than her, and a hot high-temperature flame kept roasting the flesh and blood silkworm pupa. From time to time, someone bit the fuse with his mouth and threw a grenade right into the silkworm pupa, and for a while, the deafening explosion sounded throughout the wilderness. The powerful firepower suppression was fully demonstrated by them. So fierce. Don't the demon hunting teams on TV usually fight monsters in close combat with real weapons? Zhang Chen's eyes widened in disbelief. Ha ha ha, Brother Zhang, times have changed. You have guns but don't use them. Fighting in close combat with cold weapons is simply crazy. Liu Chang explained to Zhang Chen, thanks to Brother Zhang for leading this monster to the suburbs, otherwise if it was in the downtown area, I'm afraid we would have to fight in close combat. How is it? Lively, like the new year. Ah, Zhang Chen quietly walked away from Liu Chang. He always felt that these people's brain circuits were a little wrong. After a burst of gunpowder, the pungent smell of gunpowder filled the surroundings, and Zhang Chen couldn't help but sneeze. Is it done? At this time, the people in the demon hunting team were nervous. After all, the opponent was a bronze-level monster and a mutant. They couldn't help but cheer up. Suddenly, Zhang Chen and Liu Chang's faces froze. As expected, a simple shell probably can't cause much damage to it. In the center of the artillery fire, the smoke gradually dissipated. As expected, according to the law of smoke without injury, the blood cocoon had already broken open at this moment, and the monster had changed a lot at this time, with a hideous and slender body, exposed black bone spurs all over the body, and only half of the head was left with a creepy pale eyeball that kept turning. Two bloody bone wings tore open the back and stretched out. The wingspan can be up to 2 or 3 meters long. The human-faced moth that emerged from the cocoon is now more like a humanoid monster. Only the skeleton was left, and the legs with residual flesh and blood were slightly bent. It suddenly jumped and rushed into the air in an instant, rolling up a fierce airflow that made people unable to open their eyes. Not good. Liu Chang took out a short knife full of technology from his back. Just as Zhang Chen wanted to complain about such a short knife, you want to trim the monster's nails. Liu Chang flicked the handle of the knife lightly, and the short knife instantly spread out. A handsome long knife exuded a gilded light, almost blinding Zhang Chen's titanium dog eyes. Liu Chang turned his head. Brother Zhang, I'll ask you to take care of these teammates of mine. Captain. Brother Liu. No, we will accompany you to deal with it. We are brothers for life. The team members were reluctant to leave when they heard this and stepped forward to dissuade him. Go away. That monster is not simple. You will only hold me back if you go. Staying near Brother Zhang can guarantee safety. After saying that, without waiting for everyone to speak, Liu Chang suddenly spread 2 feather-like wings from his back and flew into the sky to confront the monster from a distance. It turns out that Liu Chang is the user of the falcon form of the bird fruit. Hey, I don't think I agreed. What a self-willed guy. Zhang Chen was a little speechless. Watching the 2 figures in the sky, one black and one white, fighting each other frantically, Zhang Chen quietly waited for the opportunity. From the previous confrontation, Zhang Chen knew that it would take quite a long time to slowly kill this monster with conventional means. The remaining demon hunting team members were anxious at this time. Zhang Chen, aren't you going to help? Duan Wei's tone began to soften at this time, with a pleading tone in her voice. The strong are enjoying the fight, how can I interfere with them? Zhang Chen looked up at the 2 figures in the sky, and after a long time, he perfunctorily said that he actually just wanted Liu Chang to reduce the monster's blood volume more, so that he could take over the battle more easily. Zhang Chen guessed that there must be some kind of energy source in the monster's body to replenish the vitality that was constantly flowing away. With his eyes open to a high-dimensional perspective, Zhang Chen carefully observed the energy flow in the bodies of both sides of the battle. Bullshit, what's the point of talking about fairness with monsters? If there are conditions, we should attack them in groups. Ah, I think you fool, clearly want to sit on the mountain and watch the fight. Looking at Zhang Chen who was motionless, Duan Wei's face turned red with anger. The surrounding team members looked like they had seen a ghost. Looking at Duan Wei in the same way, this young lady has always maintained a heroic and elegant personality since she came to their team. Unexpectedly, Zhang Chen broke her defense today. Haha, this senior sister must have an extraordinary background. She does whatever she wants and has no taboos. Hasn't anyone taught you to see through it but not say it? That's right, I just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Zhang Chen glanced at the furious Duan Wei, and simply did not deny it, directly blocking Duan Wei's next words. Hearing Zhang Chen's straightforward admission, Duan Wei was not feeling well. She thought Zhang Chen would quibble, and she was also preparing to deny and slap Zhang Chen in the face, but she didn't expect Zhang Chen to play by the rules. Duan Wei had never suffered such grievances since she was a child. Her eyes suddenly turned red and she took a breath. As the daughter of the strongest man in Qingcheng, Duan Wei had always been smooth sailing since she was a child. Instinctively, she wanted to continue to argue, but when she thought of her uncle Lu Chang, who had always taken care of her and was facing the terrifying and strange monster alone, she reorganized her words. Zhang Chen, I want to apologize to you. My tone was too aggressive before. I hope you can be magnanimous. If you are still not satisfied, you can beat me or punish me afterwards. I will never frown. Please, go and help Captain Lu. Duan Wei lowered her head, her tone was humble. This was the first time in her life that she had begged someone so humbly. It's ridiculous. Since you know that this monster is powerful, I don't quite understand why only you, who are all black iron, dare to boast and arrest the monster under the leadership of a bronze master. Zhang Chen looked puzzled. Duan Wei was also speechless at this time, but still gave an explanation. This monster has been captured once before. The military believes that it has been defeated and seriously injured. Naturally, we were sent to capture it. Besides, we are already one of the strongest lineups in the demon hunting brigade. If it is any worse, we will have to start a joint hunting and invite masters from other major forces to encircle and suppress it. I understand. Don't worry. When it comes to the critical moment, it doesn't matter. I will take action. Above the sky, Lu Chang's sword flashed fiercely. Every move and every style could take away a large piece of flesh and blood from the human-faced moth. And the monster, as if tireless and painless, attacked swiftly and savagely, hitting Lu Chang back again and again. Trouble. This monster did not dodge or evade the attack, which made Lu Chang have no idea where to start. After thinking for a moment, Lu Chang flew back and pulled away, and kicked from high above to accumulate power, hitting the monster's neck directly. With a crisp sound, the monster's neck broke. His left hand flipped up and down, and a claw knife came out of his sleeve. He took advantage of the reverse grip and slashed hard with the powerful reverse impact when kicking. He actually cut off the monster's head directly. Did we win? The people of the demon hunting team on the ground cheered and jumped for joy, and were very excited. Beautiful. Zhang Chen remained silent, secretly praising Lu Chang's amazing skills in his heart. He is a master of physical skills. Real physical skills are never as simple as simply knowing various martial arts skills. The grasp of timing in battle is more important to test the strength of a person's physical skills. This is a power that can only be mastered after countless actual combats. When fighting against others, it is often just an ordinary move that can exert deadly power. It seems that blindly pursuing the gorgeousness of data is still not advisable. At this time, Lu Chang watched the headless monster fall straight from the sky and smash a large hole in the ground, but there was no joy on his face. The monster staggered to his feet, and the head rolled back to the side of the body automatically. The sharp bone claws grabbed the head and automatically merged with it. The whole palm of the monster was replaced by the hideous head. The sharp teeth kept biting in the air. The pale head suddenly turned in the direction of Lu Chang, and then the monster instantly sprinted close to Lu Chang, waved his arm, and the head opened its bloody mouth and bit Lu Chang. Seeing that Lu Chang couldn't dodge in time, he knelt down to avoid the attack, and at the same time, he raised his knife and knelt up to slash diagonally, directly slashing at the monster's shoulder joint. But it was stuck directly. Not good. Lu Chang was about to abandon the knife, but the monster closed his hands and held him tightly. Lu Chang struggled hard, but it was difficult to break free for a while. Seeing that the monster's bloody mouth was about to bite his head directly, Lu Chang was desperate and was about to pull the grenade on his waist, wanting to die together. At the critical moment, a bullet hit the monster's forehead directly, and blood splattered. Lu Chang also took the opportunity to pull out, but his chest was also scratched by the claws with a deep wound. It was Duan Wei holding a sniper rifle who saved Lu Chang at the critical moment. At this time, Duan Wei's face was covered with fine beads of sweat because of excessive concentration. There seemed to be poison on the claws. Lu Chang gasped and his face began to turn unnaturally pale. Looking at the poison spreading in his chest, Lu Chang gritted his teeth and took out the dagger to cut open a large piece of infected flesh along the wound again. Then he took out the bullet and took out the gunpowder powder and sprinkled it in the wound. The sparks from the friction between the claw knife and the dagger ignited the gunpowder, and hot and bright sparks gushed out from the wound. The severe pain almost put him into shock. Beads of sweat fell like rain. If it weren't for the strong physical bonus brought by the animal system ability and his own strong willpower, I'm afraid I would really die of pain. I'm too arrogant. I'm afraid I can't take this thing alone. No, I can't fall here. Liu Chang wiped the sweat from his eyes and was about to prop himself up to continue confronting the monster. Suddenly, a broad palm appeared with great power and firmly pressed Liu Chang, who was about to get up. That's enough, Captain Liu Chang. You have tried your best. Your character has earned my respect. Go and rest and heal your wounds. Zhang Chen came to his side without knowing when, and his gentle words rang in his ears at the critical moment like the sound of nature. Those who carry firewood for the public should not be allowed to die in the cold winter. Zhang Chen gave up his previous plan to watch the fire from the other side of the river and decided to save this man. There was no reason, just a trace of pity in his heart. Liu Chang looked up at Zhang Chen. Hearing the praise from this man who was only the same age as his son, his body did not feel ashamed, but instead inexplicably gave rise to a sense of pride. Then, please. After watching Liu Chang leave the center of the battlefield, Zhang Chen looked at the monster. The human-faced moth actually wanted to continue chasing Liu Chang. That won't do. If you catch me, I'll be so embarrassed. Dragon scales appeared on Zhang Chen's palms, and dark domineering aura wrapped around them. He dodged and grabbed the monster's thigh skeleton, swung it, and threw it over his shoulder to the ground, smashing many trees along the way. The monster howled for the first time. So strong. The demon hunters who were bandaging Liu Chang's wounds were all stunned by the shock. Is this the strength of the strongest genius in Qingcheng? I heard that Zhang Chen is still black iron. This strength is too exaggerated. Duan Wei was depressed. Why can't such a genius join the army? Obviously, she was still upset about Zhang Chen's refusal to join the army. Father often said that the world is bustling for profit, and the world is bustling for profit. Could it be that I didn't give him enough benefits? Duan Wei fell into deep thought. Zhang Chen sensed the monster's wailing, looked at his dark palm wrapped in domineering, and thought for a while. He could clearly sense that the monster's breath had weakened a lot. Is it because of domineering? In order to verify the conjecture, Zhang Chen continued to use his domineering fists to beat the monster fiercely. The monster clearly caught all of Zhang Chen's punches, but his body was still constantly suffering invisible damage. This is domineering, the invisible and overwhelming power from the mind, will and momentum. The rumors are really true. Qinglong Zhang Chen has mastered the domineering power. Liu Chang took a breath, and as the wound was affected, he couldn't help but take a second breath, and then a third breath. Duan Wei couldn't bear it anymore and stuffed the healing bandage into Liu Chang's mouth. Enough. Stop sucking. Woo woo. Domineering power. The whole huge Qingcheng, even Minister Duan Tianya has never mastered the power. Even if his mouth was blocked, Liu Chang still wanted to complain. Zhang Chen took out the 8 fasts at this time, and the thick thunder wrapped around the mace crackled, and the dark domineering power spread and covered the entire shaft. Swinging with one hand, a swift and sweeping blow hit the monster's waist. Enhanced Thunder Bagua. That's right. The difference between the enhanced version of Thunder Bagua and the ordinary Thunder Bagua is that Zhang Chen swings it harder. The iron rod wrapped with domineering and thunder roared like a sonic boom and directly smashed the upper body of the monster. Ignoring the shattered upper body of the monster, Zhang Chen stared at the relatively intact lower body of the monster. Yes, in Zhang Chen's perception, the whole body of the monster seemed to have a source of power, which came from the root of its thigh. I'm not going to smash it. The monster, with only half of its body left, was still struggling to crawl, and countless flesh and blood flowed towards the monster like a trickle. Monster, I have seen through everything. After saying that, Zhang Chen was holding the mace, and he smashed it between the monster's legs with a domineering attack like pounding garlic. The monster's legs kept shaking like a spasm. If you meet me, you will suffer. For a while, wind and thunder surged, and the earth was cracked. Every time it was pounded, the terrifying thunder snake raged, and the fierce air wave rolled back and hit all directions. Liu Chang and others not far away couldn't help swallowing their saliva, and several team members felt a chill in their lower body and unconsciously covered their crotch. It was too cruel. Haha, this little brother Zhang really has a special hobby. Liu Chang laughed dryly a few times, trying to liven up the atmosphere. As Zhang Chen's strength became stronger, the monster's breath became weaker. As the last stick fell, ding, congratulations to the host for killing the fog monster moth for the first time. The talent multi-dimensional deprivation is activated. Heroic proficiency points +10, the host can freely distribute. Heroic, since obtaining multi-dimensional deprivation, it is either the basic 6-dimensional attribute bonus or the physical skill proficiency bonus. Today is the first time to get a domineering reward. Is it because of the word fog? Zhang Chen thought secretly. Raising his hand to pick up the bloody wolf tooth iron rod, the body of the monster under him seemed to lose vitality instantly. In just a few seconds, it turned from fresh flesh and blood to rotten and smelly, and then turned into ashes. Zhang Chen shook the mace with a little disgust, and sprayed a breath of fire on the 8 fasts to disinfect it. Sorry, it seems that you can't take this monster to hand in. Zhang Chen looked at Liu Chang and said casually. No way, Brother Zhang, we still have to thank you for saving our lives. Besides, it's a different era now. Liu Chang pointed to a display on his chest. Yes, the law enforcement recorder has recorded it. The matter was over, and Liu Chang and others did not hesitate to leave immediately. Zhang Chen, can you please leave your home address and contact information? Don't get me wrong, we just want to make it easier for you to apply for the reward later. Before leaving, Duan Wei turned to ask Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen waved his hand and left without looking back. If you have anything, go to the Qingcheng number 1 middle school student union to find me. This man is so arrogant. Duan Wei bit her fangs and said angrily. Ha ha ha, okay, Xiao Wei, he is a genius, and it is normal for geniuses to be arrogant. If I had his extraordinary talent, I would want to show off every day. Liu Chang smiled and comforted Duan Wei. Tisk, birds of a feather. Duan Wei rolled her eyes at him and left angrily. Hey, Xiao Wei, I was kind enough to comfort you, why are you cursing? What are you talking about, Captain Liu? You are only seriously injured, but you are not dead. Sister Duan is mentally traumatized. The demon hunters beside him also joked. After cleaning up the battlefield, the group left in a mighty manner. In the quiet and peaceful night of the city, there are countless unknown heroes like them who silently guard this land in the dark. Zhang Chen quietly returned home and saw his parents and younger sister still sleeping, so he carefully closed the window. Everything seemed to have never happened. Back in the bedroom, Zhang Chen opened the system panel and prepared to check the sign-in and the gains from the battles in the past few days. Name, Zhang Chen. Race, human. Level, black iron. Basic attributes. Strength, 915. Speed, 712. Defense, 765. Life, 810. Energy, 901. Spirit, 800. Life recovery, 1 point of life per second. Devil fruit, fish fruit fantasy beast blue dragon form, fruit development degree 10%. Armament hockey primary, 0.001. Observation hockey primary, 0.001. Overlord hockey primary, 0.001. Influenced by super-dimensional god body heaven equals the influence of the gift can convert the god attribute into the total amount of domineering. Physical skills. Shaving, intermediate 51,000. Iron block, intermediate 601,000. Paper drawing, intermediate 301,000. Moon step, intermediate 0.001. Mist kick, intermediate 41,000. Gun finger, advanced 401,000. Basic stick method, intermediate 651,000. Allocated domineering points, 10. Well, it's so-so. All aspects have increased a little bit. This mosquito is still meat no matter how small it is. Zhang Chen curled his lips. Regarding the allocation of domineering, he wanted to specialize in one aspect first, at least to make one of the 3 colors of domineering have a clear highlight the advantages. Comprehensive means being broad but not specialized. Zhang Chen fell into deep thought about which of the 3 colors of domineering to choose as a breakthrough. After thinking about it, combined with his own situation, his physique is now close to the limit of black iron, with a strong physique, and he also has the strongest animal-type devil fruit, and his physical skills are far superior to his peers. In terms of attack and defense, it is enough, and improving the armed color domineering is just icing on the cake. As for the domineering color domineering, unless it reaches a very high level, it can only clear some miscellaneous soldiers. It is still a long way to go to achieve the late-stage divine skill domineering entanglement, not to mention the above-mentioned sight and hearing killing. Now it seems that only the sight and hearing domineering is most suitable for me, which helps me the most. It can make people's five senses become sharp, strongly perceive the breath of surrounding creatures, and the domineering of emotional changes can also be used to predict and avoid danger. Whether it is perception or dodge, it is what I need most at present. Zhang Chen invested the 10 domineering points he had finally obtained into the sight and hearing domineering. Suddenly, his body trembled, and Zhang Chen exhaled deeply with his eyes closed. Well, I didn't feel anything. 10 points of progress didn't even make a wave. His current level of observation hockey is only elementary, which can simply sense the enemy's breath and simply capture the attack trajectory of others. This is a power that can only be exerted when he must remain calm. With his current progress, he still has a long way to go to reach the intermediate level of observation hockey, which can passively sense the breath of others at a long distance but cannot expand the range. Not only is it not small, there are still 990 points of progress. It's not known when it will take to reach the legendary realm of predicting the future. Zhang Chen was extremely unhappy when he thought of this, predicting the future. Who in the family understands this feeling of guarding a treasure mountain in vain? He suppressed his wild imagination and planned to go to the student union tomorrow to listen to the information collected by Cheng Dongqing and others in the past few days. Zhang Chen was very sure that this matter was 100% related to Hao Sei. Zhang Chen didn't intend to understand the real situation. Evidence, it doesn't matter. After all, a list is enough to kill someone. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't afford the silver monster, Zhang Chen would have no doubt that the Hao family could put the entire silver level at his doorstep. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.